started pushing. They knocked over like them little security gates that they have at bars and clubs. So they pushed each other into that. I broke them up or whatever. And we paid the bill and just walked away just because them niggas got good jobs. So we don't need y'all niggas fighting in the middle of DC type shit.
That's bad.
So we paid the bill, walked away. And it's funny because the nigga Corey ended up taking that nigga home, him and Oswald home, and I rode home with the nigga Jeff. But yeah, that's pretty much it, bro. Them niggas was just getting into it. But yeah, but shit, what we finna talk about tonight? What's up?
We got some good topics, bro. We got some.
Spencer, Adam, is my bro. Spencer is my bro. Adam.
Adam, it's nice to meet you, bro.
You too. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Bet that. Love to hear it. Yeah, bro. But yeah, overall it was a good night, bro. But yeah.
Bro, I've never been there still. I got to slide next time.
No, bro. Like when I tell you, like them pictures are strong. Like it's $34 a picture, but like them shits is strong. So, but see, the trick is, bro, is you got to get the alumni to pay for it. That's the trick.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Has to pay for it. Oswin, he done been out to drinks with another alumni guy. So like, just find a couple alumni to get close with. And bro, like gas them up, they'll love to pay for it. They'll be like, yeah.
Gas up the alumni.
Yeah, that's what's important. Yeah. But yeah, I'm ready to get started. What's up?
You want to give him like a breakdown, Spencer? Or you want to just get into it, just pure go straight forward?
Yo, we're live.
Okay,
we're live.
Oh, we're already on.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 5. Today we have a very, very special guest. We got the man from Cali, the Cali boy himself, Adam Swearingen.
Man, appreciate y'all for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Gas him up.
Man, great night. It's a great night.
All right, Adam.
You want to just like tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Yeah.
So my name is Adam Swearingen. I'm a junior business management major from San Pedro, California, and I currently go to attend Howard University. So I should be graduating either 2022 or spring 2022 or fall 2022, depending on how many credits I could squeeze in. But yeah, and I'm also a member of the Society of Collegiate Black Men on Howard's campus.
Shout out Society of Collegiate Black Men, man. Shout out.
Yes, sir.
That's dope as shit, man.
Appreciate y'all.
How is Cali?
Cali is amazing, man. So I moved out to here at Hyattsville, Maryland in August of 2020. But born and raised in California. Great. Like I said, I'm from San Pedro, California. So San Pedro is on the coast. It's actually very tucked away. That's where the 110 freeway ends. I don't know if anybody will know that, but it's very tucked away. It's a very small community, and it's really like its own bubble type of deal. Like, like you have people in San Pedro who have been there since like the city was founded back in like the early 1900s. Like they can trace their whole family line back to when the city was founded. So it's predominantly like Croatian and Italian, but you have Hispanics, you have Black people and stuff like that, but mainly Italian, Croatian, and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah, crazy. And that's also, San Pedro is also where the Port of Los Angeles is. So that's why we're technically a part of LA County, because, if we weren't, LA would miss out on billions of dollars.
So, being from California, y'all definitely have the worst traffic ever out of every state.
Yeah. So, like, the 405 freeway, I think it was, like, if not recently, like, not too long ago, it was dubbed, like, the worst, like, freeway, like, in all of America in terms of, like, traffic and stuff like that. Because California, we have great highways. So, you have 6 lanes of, on the highway. But
yeah.
There'll be times where all 6 lanes, including the carpool lane, will just be backed up, and you could be on the freeway for up to 2 hours, depending on which way you're going. So yeah, California traffic, it's ridiculous. You can catch it on a Monday or you can catch it on a Saturday. Like it really just depends on what freeway and what time you're on that particular freeway. So it definitely takes some knowledge of being on the freeways and driving them and stuff like that.
Word. Yeah, man. That's out here. I live in Delaware. Feel me? If anybody doesn't know, shout out Delaware. Shout out 302. Yeah, 302.
Oh, yeah. California, we got like 310, 424, all that type of stuff, 323. But yeah, no. That's
Yeah.
the,
Zone 6.
Yeah, bro. I think that Delaware is probably like one of like the chillest states to drive in. Honestly, like we're literally just like wide open roads everywhere you go. It's so
like,
chill.
y'all got a lot of like traffic cameras and stuff like that, or no?
Nah, not
Oh,
really.
because that's the one thing I hate about Maryland and even DC, bro. Is like coming from California, we don't really have traffic cameras like that or like speed cameras. So even if I'm on the street, bro, I could do a little dash. But out here, bro, in Maryland, that shit is terrible. Like I can't. Like if you're not on the speed limit, you finna get a ticket. And I,
Damn. Yeah, I just got a ticket last weekend. Coming over the bridge from Delaware to Jersey. I was going to go to see my grandma and stuff, and I literally I got pulled over by like the highway police,
see?
and I used to take that bridge every day. I used to work at like the Wawa right over there last summer. I took the bridge every day, and I never even saw like a speed limit posting. And I used to go like, you remember like that Drake songs like 90 on the bridge, like Nicky
Hey,
Yo, already know. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be going 90 on the bridge, playing that every day. I'll play that same song, just fly over the
I
bridge.
just get there. Yeah, yeah. No, I get it though. I get it.
Yeah.
Next
So I
thing you
got
know,
a
I pull
ticket.
you over. You talking about? I don't even know why you pull me over.
I was so confused. I was like, what are you talking about? I was
What
like,
you
what I do?
speeding? This way, ain't it? What you mean I was speeding? I don't even make no sense.
Yeah, man. So I got like an $80 ticket. So gotta pay that, John.
Damn, that's it.
That's cool.
Hey, not to get on you, but like that boy from Walmart in the background,
Aw.
right there. That boy from Walmart.
I don't know.
Oh,
Probably.
I just asked because I got a couple balls like that I bought from Walmart. Little plastic motherfuckers, not too expensive, but pretty good quality. I cannot lie.
Yeah, bro. No cap. This shit is very chill.
We got
Yeah,
some of my boys in here right now. Paul and John are in the chat.
love
Paul and
this.
John, what's up with y'all? Oh, Adam, make sure to let me send you the link. I can send you the link to the thing. You can just throw on your snap and just be like, "Come say hi," and then post like the link, and people always come say
People come
hi.
and say hi. It's chill
Oh,
as
I
fuck.
on like my social media type shit.
Yeah, you can just
Yeah,
put it on Snapchat or like honestly wherever you want.
Oh yeah, just text me that link and I'll make sure I throw it up.
yeah, it's cool just having people in here. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. King
Oh
Clan,
yeah,
shout out to you. Kim Nero, shout out to you. Shout out to Johnny. Shout out to Paul. Feel me? We're in here getting lit
Kim is
tonight.
lit. Yeah,
man.
Paul and John are some boys that I play video games with.
Oh yeah, shout out to
Okay,
you,
yes
bro.
sir. Hey, what games you be playing usually?
If we're talking like main like competitively that I like really try hard in is Call of Duty, and
Okay,
then games that I'll play for fun, like I'll play some racing games here and there, and then I'll play CS:GO with usually Paul and John, and we'll have Justin, Kang, and Andrew, and all the boys will be in there, and we'll be
okay.
playing CS:GO just for fun.
Alexander Hong, shout out Alexander.
Oh,
For me,
That's
yeah, but
Alex. Alex is a
usually
G.
myself, I don't know. I be on Apex, like I either be on Apex, but like recently I've been on like a
you
tight.
love Apex. You love you some Apex.
It's like, bro, like I love Apex, bro, because like Apex is just fun as hell, and it's different. Like I don't like mono, like I don't like Warzone and shit like that. So I'll be on Apex crazy, or like I'll be on like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or like Titanfall
Oh,
2. Even Titanfall.
Assassin's
That's
Creed.
nice. Valhalla's nice.
No, Valhalla's tough. Like,
Yeah.
and even like Titanfall 2, like they just have like a bunch of different game modes that are fun as hell. And it's cheap too. It's like $5 to buy it right now. So I'll be on there. But I don't
Yeah.
know. Like with Warzone, I could just never get into it for real.
You
Like
weren't like a big Call of
Really?
Duty guy.
that's the thing. I love Call of Duty and like Call of Duty multiplayer, but like Warzone though, I just couldn't get into it. Like, I don't, maybe just because I'm so bad at it that I just don't have fun. I don't know, but
That's
like
fair.
multiplayer though, like I love multiplayer. Like Call of Duty multiplayer, love that. Always love it. Personally, to me, Ghost was amazing, but people don't love Call of Duty Ghost. But that was my shit.
Yeah.
Ghost
Everybody
was
hates on
really
Ghost.
underrated, I feel like.
Like, what I'm saying? Like, I'm buying, all the little guns on DLC. I'm quick scoping in that bitch, all that. Like, I love Ghosts, but people gave it a bad review. But yeah, no, Call of Duty would definitely, always be one of my best played games ever. Just
For
personally,
sure.
I don't like Warzone, but you know.
Rainbow Six is pretty fun too. I was never good at Rainbow
So,
Six.
Rainbow Six is lit, bro.
I was
You gotta
terrible.
play.
I'd literally it'd be Justin, John, and my buddy Alex would literally carry me through Rainbow Six in high school. Like that, I was so bad. I was so
Yeah.
bad.
I'm like level like 140 in Rainbow right now. I'm usually like around plat. I'm trying to. I think I hit diamond like one time. But I haven't played a lot this season.
I don't think I ever
Let's
made
see
it
how
out of silver.
much.
I never made it out of
Drop a like
silver.
if you're in here, man. Drop a like on the video. We appreciate all the likes. Make sure you're subbed if you're in here. We got 7 people in here. Make sure you're subbed. We're trying to hit a subscriber goal.
I'm pretty sure
100
most of them are
subs. You know what I
subbed.
mean? So
Man,
let's
do that. Do that. I need to.
My buddy Justin just hopped in here. Yummin'.
Justin, yes sir. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, so let's get right into it, Spencer.
Honestly, do we start out with the most controversial topic first?
Let's get controversial with it.
All right, Adam, abortion. What is your view on abortion? We're getting right into it. We're going straight in, head first.
Okay, cool. So personally, my views on abortion is like, it's the women. Like, it's what I'm definitely like pro women's choice.
Okay.
Because my thing is like, it's not your body. Yeah, you got to think of it just from different perspectives. So it's like, think about it, like as a man, like the way I like to think, like, and you may say it's drastic, but it's like, what if like somebody was like, oh, you have to cut off your testicles or something like that. There's some really
Whoa.
like you have to think of it like that. Like you tell her she's pregnant with a child, and you're trying to tell her like, no, she has to keep it, yada yada yada. Okay, well, what if it was your testicles? And like you want to keep your testicles, but somebody cut them off. Like you're gonna be like, well, how the hell are you gonna tell me what I'm gonna do with, like you said, with my body? And so that's kind of, and I'm not saying that's exactly how I look at it with women, but like with women, it's just like it's their body. So if they feel like personally they can't take care of it, or they feel like, and I shouldn't say it, but the child, then who are you to kind of tell them like what to do with it? And then like another thing aside of it too is like in high school, because I went to a Catholic high school my last 2 years, and so my high school religion teacher was like, a lot of like Catholics and religions like to be like pro-life and stuff like that, but if you're not giving these women like the right what should I say, the right like public services to take care of this child.
Yeah.
If you're not like for giving women, things like WIC and things like that to really give this child a good life, how can you really be pro-life and how can you really control their bodies? So if you want to be like pro-life and you want to tell them that they should have these children, then make sure there's the right social programs for these women to take care of these children. Because if you're not going to make sure that that's the case, then don't say you're pro-life. Because you're not. You're not making sure that these women who you want to have this child has the right, basic facilities to take care of this child. And so I kind of agree with that. It's like, if you really want to be pro-life, then make sure there's the right, there's the right social programs for that to happen. Because if not, then you have no right to tell a woman, what she should do with her child.
So what do you think about like the father? Like say like right, because it's kind of like on both sides, right? Like so now like let's say like you're not you, but say like there's another girl, right?
And I've thought that.
Yeah, and like there's a girl. Her name's like I don't know. Her name is Karen.
Sasha.
So like,
okay,
Sasha. Sasha's pregnant, right? You get Sasha pregnant. Right. You're not ready to have a kid. You're 21. You don't want to have a kid. You don't have the finances to take care of a kid. And she doesn't want to get an abortion. Should you still be liable for that kid?
And that's a good question. And like, I'm not gonna cap. Like, I don't have a straight answer for you, but I do feel like for example, like if you feel like you're not really ready for that kid, and this person wants to keep the child, then it's like, I'm not saying that you should have to keep the child, but at the same rate, it's kind of like, if you wanted to do kind of like grown-up person stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like if you want to, like, what comes with having sex or having unprotected sex, that's a possibility. Yeah. So it's like, if you're really not ready for that possibility, then why put yourself in that situation? So like, my kind of thing, like, I know mistakes happen and things like that, but at the same time, it's like, if this does happen and she wants to keep the baby, then it's kind of like, kind of got to figure it out. But at the same time, I've also thought about the reverse, where it's like, like you want to keep the baby, but let's say the woman wants to abort it, and it's kind of like what say does the father have? And so like that also gets tricky because it's like you want to say like her body, her choice, but at the same time it's like this child is half of the father. So where do you go from there? So I feel like it's kind of how you really could go back and forth, and I feel like there's really no correct answer, and you can
All
just
right.
go forth about that.
Let's get it from another perspective on this as well then. So let's say Sasha is pregnant and she wants this baby. She
Mhm.
wants to keep it.
Okay.
Obviously, she can. You, as being the dad, did not want your condom to break, but you still came inside her anyways. Unfortunate circumstances, right?
Right.
You don't want the kid. Do you have a say in that?
Um, I don't know. Like that's interesting because like I feel
What
like you
would you want to have a say?
personally. So like if I didn't want it and didn't want the child and she wanted the child, then I feel like I should kind of have a say in that. Just only because it's like this child is half, like half me, half her. And so even though yes, she's carrying it to term, it's still like if I don't want this child and then you're forcing this child on me, then it's like you can't be surprised if there's any resentment or like not that person wanting to be in that child's life. And I'm not saying that's okay, but I'm just saying you can't be surprised by the fact that they didn't want to be around. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that makes
It's,
sense. You
it's
really
like
can't be
that shit
surprised.
is
Should
right.
you
Like
have to pay
that
child
shit.
support?
Yeah, you gotta pay
So
child
what?
support.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. Hold on. But he doesn't want it. But
right. That's
she
another
did
thing
want to
too,
have
right?
it. So can
Right.
so can he give away his rights before the child comes out so that he does not have to pay child support?
I think
Right.
there's like a legality aspect where you can
Right
like
now there is,
be
but
with
why
that
should you
child.
have to if the male didn't want it?
Right. And my thing too is like, okay, like let's say like you didn't want this child, but she has the child. Then like you said, there is a legality thing where it's like, okay, she's like she really wants this child, knowing that we cannot take care of this. And that's another thing too. If you know that you don't have the facilities to take care of this child, and like you can call it classist, elitist, all that, saying that like people that can't afford to take care of a child can't have one. And if that's if that's like the one thing you're saying, then I see how that's classist, elitist. But if you're looking at all the factors, then I feel like it's not. But it's like if you know you can't take care of this child and she still wants to have it anyway, then I feel like there should be some say about whether you have a role as a parent, to pay child support and things like that. Because if you both can acknowledge the fact that you don't have the means to take care of it, but you still want to take on this burden, then there's something to say about letting that one person have the burden if that's really what they want to do.
Okay.
But like I said, it's definitely would be a debate about.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah. To
definitely
me,
full
like
on.
I think like the ability to choose is important. Like I know in some places like you're not allowed to get one. Like I think that's probably like the worst option to go with. Like just having it so no one can get an abortion in
Right.
like the state of Alabama. Like I feel like that's pretty messed up because like even some cases like with like sexual assault or like rape, like you don't even have like a choice if you're pregnant or not, and now you can't even get an abortion in your state.
And that's the part I don't agree with because it's like again, like this is somebody that forced themselves upon somebody, and now you're forcing that person to have a child. When it's
Yeah,
like they didn't ask for this, so why are you, taking that decision away from them, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I guess it's kind of the same reason. Like I know like rape is more drastic than like not pulling out, but like it's the same mentality of like I don't want this, it's here, and it's kind of just swapped. And in like that case, it's like I feel like the majority of the time women probably don't carry that baby to term. You know what I mean? If they don't want it and it's there, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to talk about and think about because it could happen to anybody, really. Anybody could be in that
Anybody who is
situation.
sexually active.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's rough. It's rough out here for a young pimp. PIMP.
Man. But then again, that is a thing to say to like if like especially as a man, you really like don't have the facilities to take care of a child, or that like that's not something you want, then it's like you have to be prepared for the consequences if you're not gonna like actually like wrap up and use a condom. Like you really can't be surprised at the outcome of having a child if you're not gonna like, take the proper steps to prevent that. And so that's kind of like what I also have an issue with is like as a man, don't be upset if she gets pregnant if you yourself as a man wasn't taking proper steps to make sure that didn't happen. Like you have no to be mad because you knew what you were
Fair.
signing up for.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
Right.
yeah, that makes sense. That's fair.
Own up to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about taking responsibility. Too many people just look for a scapegoat. Not even just like this situation, but every situation. People are just looking for someone else to put the blame on. No one's really taking accountability. Taking a step back, understanding the situation. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
my
I have
Trojan
this
condom
job at
busted.
Walgreens.
They were out for me.
Well, yeah, I mean that happens too. Stuff definitely happens. Like girls will be on birth control, still getting pregnant. You
I'm
never
gonna
really
sue
know. I guess the
McDonald's
best way
because
to
I'm fat.
handle it.
About that too is like it's funny that you brought that up because like I kid you not, like my grandma, like my mom's dad, like she's in her like early 70s or whatever, and from the time I was in middle school, like she's very direct. So from the time I was in middle school, it's like sixth grade, like she's told me she's like, you know. Not to say that like women are liars specifically, but like her whole thing was like you just never know. So if a woman tells you she's on birth control, you should just naturally in your mind get it that like that probably isn't the case. And not the and again, like not to say that she's just outright lying, but just to like take extra precaution yourself is why she, like
Yeah.
she framed it that way. Is because
Yes.
take it into your mind to like, okay, she says she's on birth control, but just like play it the safe way and assume that she isn't. And you can possibly avoid a lot of situations. And so like, it's just funny that you kind of brought that up. But yeah.
Spencer, we're getting some people saying the people are subbing, but the sub count's not moving,
The
man.
sub counter is broken at the moment.
Oh wow, that's
It,
not good.
it it's broken. It does not update until after the stream ends, which is kind of sad.
Well, it's sad, but it's okay. We like to see the numbers jump after the stream.
Sometimes some things are
Subscribe
broken.
anyway.
You can't fix it.
Exactly. Make sure to subscribe, smash that like button, because we're in for a wild ride.
And when you
Just
join
like-
next time, you'll see that number goes up.
Oh yeah, we're gonna hit that subscriber goal.
All right. Wow.
But,
So
yeah.
abortion, great topic.
Yeah, man, that's pretty interesting. Get some good takes. You have any hot takes, Adam? You got any stuff that's like been making you mad? And you're like, why is everybody saying this? Like, what are they talking about?
It's funny you say that, bro. Okay, so like personally with me, bro, is like I have a hard time with people that are like homophobic. I'm not even gonna cap to you.
Mhm.
Like that's really like
Oh.
that's a very strong issue with me.
Homophobic to what extent?
Huh. So when I say homophobic, I mean like literally like outright like homophobic. Like let's say like a person is gay or lesbian or trans or anything like that, and they're literally like, I don't like you because that's what you like. And the issue with that because one of the way I was really brought up was like, and the way that like kind of like my mom like formed it to me was like, okay, does somebody being gay, lesbian, or trans like does that affect you getting money?
Nope.
No, right? Like that doesn't affect your bag, right? Like
No.
you affect your bag, right? You affect how much money you make. You're
Yeah.
hustling to the bag. So what is their sexuality? How does that affect you? It doesn't, right? So what do you care that they do in their off time? So like let's say like even if you're working with somebody who is gay, lesbian, or trans, or like part of that the LGBTQ plus community, it's like what do you care what they do? They don't like they're not pressing you, they're not trying to approach you, anything like that. They're trying to chase a bag just like you. So
Yeah.
what do you care what they do in their off time outside the workplace? Focus like if anything, if you're so concerned about somebody's sexuality, maybe you need to focus more on what you're doing and the bag you're getting instead of focusing on who they're laying with. Because it's not you. You're not laying with them. So why do you really care? And so like even so like her preaching that to me, like really like it just made sense to me, basic sense to me. And it's true because it's like myself, like yes, I'm straight, but I don't have any issue with anybody that's part of the LGBTQ plus community because they don't affect my bag. Like I can still make my money no matter who they decide to lay with. So what do I care for? It's not my business. And I feel like if more people kind of looked at it that way, they would have, they would realize the fault in their ways or realize like kind of like their internalized homophobia. And that's not to say that I'm perfect and like I don't have my own faults when it comes to stuff like that. But it's like I just see that like I'm kind of like I see that I'm on a kind of like a better path than a lot of people, just in the fact that like I can realize that that doesn't affect me. So what do I care for? Like them as a human being, like why would I feel like they don't deserve the same rights as me? I can't give you any real reason on why they shouldn't, for example, have the same amount of health care as me. Why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they haven't committed a crime, right? They haven't
No.
committed a crime. They haven't done anything to me personally to where I feel like they don't deserve the same rights. They like so can you give me a good reason as to why they don't just say deserve the same amount of equal rights?
I
You
don't
know?
I don't think it's that anybody has a good reason. I think it is because it's the way that people were raised. It's the same way with how racism is in this country.
Right,
No one is raised to be racist.
right.
You're
But
No
it's
not
one's
in
born
like
racist.
you're
in
no
reality
yeah, you're not born racist. No one's
you
born
learn
racist. You're
right,
taught.
right. And you
So
learn that and
people
internalize it. Right.
people
And
aren't born
that makes sense.
homophobic, they're taught.
Right,
I
right.
think like there is an aspect of kind of like as you grow up, certain things can kind of make you have certain like dispositions towards like a certain group of people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
let's
like
say like if it
religion
was like
in a
a
stance.
gay person who molested you when you were younger, now you might look at people that like men a certain kind of way, and like that has nothing to do with kind of like the way you're brought up or like anything about gay people specifically, but it's kind of just like an experience that you had and you kind of generalize.
Right.
But I mean, like we got people always talk about how generalizations are bad, but honestly, generalizations are how human minds are made to think. Like we have to generalize all things that are in the wild that are spotted and they're brightly colored. They're most likely poison. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sit here
Yeah,
and
yeah.
try and pick
That's
out
true.
one or
That's
two. I'm gonna generalize anything that's bright yellow, green with spots on it is probably gonna kill me. And
right.
like that's like why we generalize as a species. So I
Right.
think it's kind of ridiculous that people don't. And a lot of times, like generalizations end up being true for the majority.
Right.
That's
Which
you know
is
what
the
I mean?
crazy part, right? Like you would think like generalizations are like I'm not gonna say they're wrong per se, but like you would think like it's almost close to stereotyping, but like a lot of times in a way they're right. Like you kind
Yeah.
of generalize, a group of people or like a person, and like you do end up being right type of deal. And then too to go back kind of what you said to like how like for I've noticed too like a lot of people kind of have hatred towards people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Is like, they had some encounter with somebody who was a part of the community in a negative way, and so that affects kind of how they view the whole community.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's sick, and when the sick part about that is like it's the same way with racism. You have a person who has, like for example, had a bad experience with somebody who was, African American, and then they're, end up being racist towards the whole African American community. So a lot of it does go hand in hand, and I think it just comes back to like perspective and how you look at stuff, for
So
real.
you can
Yeah.
almost look at that with cops in a way then, because
Mm,
not all
yeah.
cops are bad. And I had this conversation with one of my friends, Alex. He's black, and me and him were having like a real sit down because I mean obviously I'm white, but he was like, I'm not a big fan of cops, and I was like, why? Like which experience have experiences have you had that you were like, fuck cops, fuck this? And it's like, well, it's really just what I'm seeing on social media. And I'm like, media can be skewed any way because they control what you see and what you don't see. Nobody's out here filming good cop deeds. You're
It's
finding the
true.
cops that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing to minorities,
Right.
which is
And I
sad to
think the
see.
thing is with like black people and cops is like the idea that's kind of told to us, at least like me and my experience is like it can always be you. You know what I mean? So like there's that kind of aspect of it. Where it's like it's this guy right now that you see like I think the one going around right now with like the military guy.
Oh, dude, that was
Um,
hard to watch.
yeah, like the military guy, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I don't really know the circumstances. He seemed to be in the military, which probably means he has a clean background. And it's like that can always be you. You know what I mean? Like I got
Mhm.
pulled over the other day and I mean I'm still alive. I didn't get thrown out the car or anything. I just got a ticket and that was it. So like when I say like that's a good cop, I mean I think it's hard to say someone's good when they're giving you a ticket, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like and it's also the aspect of a lot of black people, especially in like hooder areas or like tougher areas, like they don't rely on the police and they don't see them as allies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're not told like, oh, the police are your friends, they're here to help you. The police are like, who came and got your cousin, or the police are like, oh, they came and they swept up the block up and now your friends are in jail, or your friends got beat up. You know what I mean? Like my dad tells me stories just about like he used to get pulled over every day, he would say. And he
Yeah.
got pulled over like in front of his house. Like he was literally getting in the car outside of his house one day to go to work, and the cop stopped him, thought he was stealing his own car. And then, like my grandma came outside. I was like, "What you bothered him for? Like he's just going to work. Like what's the problem?" He was like, "Oh, just gotta make sure everything's okay." Um, Eva Paula says you should watch 1984 if you haven't already. That's a good book. Shout out George Orwell. Do you know what happened to Adam? I think he did connect. His computer froze. Yeah, just but
He'll be
yeah,
back.
1980. What do you think about that, Spencer? Like, do you
I've
kind of
never
see
seen
like
1984.
I mean like the whole aspect of kind of like the connotation between like minorities or black people specifically in police, like how you can see like it can always be you. Like George Floyd didn't think it was going to be him that day, just like I didn't think it was going to be the other day, but
I
it
don't
always could be.
I don't
And
think
like
anybody thinks it's their day to get pulled over or anything like that. I think stuff happens and you could catch a I think it's weird, bro, 'cause like with police, like my dad used to be a cop. I know what kind of person my dad is. My dad never shot or killed anyone as a cop. I don't think he ever had to go and like write out tickets or anything. And my dad treats people with respect of any race now, so like he obviously wasn't a racist cop, which there are those cops, and they don't need to have a badge in my opinion, but some of them do. But between cops and like minorities, it's just weird. It gets filmed all the time now, so whatever goes down, people are seeing it, and I think some cops need to obviously realize that and take a step back and look at themselves truthfully and be like, okay, like what can I do to better a situation to keep me and the person that I have in custody safe?
yeah,
I think they only care about their safety a lot of the times, and that's okay
yeah,
because you are doing a dangerous job. But at the same time, it's the citizen safety too. Like you're here to protect us and keep us safe at the same time. That's why you pull over
exactly.
people that are speeding and give them tickets because they are a danger, one, to themselves, and two, to other people that are on the road. So pull them
Yeah,
over, give them a ticket. It's kind of a little slap on the wrist, like stop doing this so you don't have to pay more money, more points on your ticket, get your license taken away. Like we have a system that I feel like works, but I think some people that are in the system make it difficult for it to look like it works.
yeah, yeah. I think it is kind of difficult because it's kind of like my uncle is a cop right in New Jersey in
Yeah.
Camden, which is like one of like the worst areas, right? So it's like he gave me like one of those cards. You've probably seen the cards too, right? Like the fraternal police order cards.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, so like you get one of those and you get pulled over for like say you're going like I don't know 50 into 45. Like I was going 50 into 45 the other day. I got a ticket back in October. I don't think that that's endangering anybody, anybody's health, anybody's safety. But I still got $120 ticket, right? So like in that case, if I were to hand that card over, I probably would have got no ticket. So it's kind of like it's not even a matter of a fact of the actual crime or like rule that you're breaking. It's more about like who is in the car, who's in the car window. When I
Yeah.
walk up to that car, who's in this window? Are they the mayor's son? Or are they Kamala's grandson? You know what I mean? Because like you don't want to do that. You know what I mean? You don't want to
No,
arrest Kamala's
you
grandson.
you don't want to do
You don't want to do
that.
that. And like you don't know who it is. Anybody could be anybody. So it's kind of like when it's cases like that, I think it's a little bit more caution. But yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of talk about. But I think there is some things that people can do or like police forces can do to kind of create a narrative that's like it's proactive, not reactive. A lot of the stuff right now is just reactive, like, oh, this happens, now we should add body cams to everybody. Okay, now we
I
have
think
body
body
cams,
cams are
but
okay though. I was not against cops having body cams. I was
no, they should have been had body cams.
Yeah, honestly, I was a pretty big fan of the cops actually getting body cams, 'cause that made me feel safe. 'Cause like that means if anything happens to me, like they're recording at all times, and they have to be recording at all times. So that means when my video gets pulled up, they see everything that happened. And that's how they
Yep.
got the video for the U.S. military guy that got pulled over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yo, my fault.
Adam, you're back.
My computer completely froze.
Oh, you're good, bro.
But
All good,
my
man.
fault. But yeah, I mean, last I heard, last time we was talking about cops. So personally for me, it's like my thing with cops is like I get it, like I get not all cops are bad, but I just feel like like from what we've seen in the track record we've seen, I see more cops doing bad than good, and you can even argue that like, yeah, it's just people recording the bad stuff, but I also feel like too, we think about when you see a cop like playing with like kids or stuff like that, and you'd be like, wow, that's rare. Like that's a rare occurrence. Like let me retweet that. Like I feel like that occurrence should happen more than me seeing a cop beat on somebody or beat on a person like a person of color, especially somebody that's African American. And I just feel like of course, not all cops are bad, but at the same time, I just feel like, I don't see enough kind of making that good effort,
Nobody's gonna
because
record the good stuff though.
right. And again, nobody's gonna record it, yes, but at the same time, I would like to see those cops that are doing good. I kind of would like to just see like more of that in a way. And even if the media doesn't portray it, I still feel like everybody in this day and age does have a phone. So just how the same way we see those cops playing with kids and playing basketball with them like that, I feel like if more of them were like actually doing it, I feel like it would kind of get captured on camera. But,
Yeah,
maybe that's
yeah.
just me being optimistic. I don't know.
While you were
Yeah.
gone, I was just telling Spencer, like, it's really hard to kind of deem someone as good, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're talking to a cop, you're going to feel like you're at a disservice. You know what I mean? Like, you're either going to get a ticket, you're either going to waste your time, or you're going to go to jail. And, like, none of those three options are anything positive. So to
Right.
really say, like, this was a good cop, and then it's like, when something does happen, and then, especially in, like, bad neighborhoods, something could happen, and then, it's just put at the back of the list for all the other cases that they have, and
Right.
you never get any real solution. So
Right.
it's like there's no time that you're seeing a cop and it's like a good situation. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's hard to say like, oh, that's a good cop right there. He gave
Right.
me a ticket. You know what I mean? Like no one
Right.
really says that.
Type of deal. No one really says that. And it's funny too, because like even like, like I have, family members that are part of like, the police force. And, I have like, even my friends, they have family members that put like part of the police force, and I have family that was in the military. And even then though, it's like, even though I like, I can believe them in the fact that, they don't do any stuff that's like shady or bad and stuff. It's just like kind of knowing that like they have that hanging over them. It does force me sometimes to kind of like look at them in a different light, because it's like, how can you kind of be a part of something like that and still claim good? And like I know you're a good person, and like I interact with you, your family, so I know where like your morals are, but it's like you still
You're
go to
a
work
part
every
of the
day with these
system.
people. So it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like so it forces me to wonder. It's like, okay, so like are you actively doing something to change that, and it's really no changing that? Or it's
Yeah.
like you're kind of like seeing it and you're just letting it happen just so that you can like go on with your day and your job. And so that's something that like I kind of have to wonder, because it's not something I've actually like brought up or addressed personally yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I
it's
think
it's
there's
tough to as well though, 'cause they are a part of that system, so they do
Right.
have a say in it. And it's like
Right.
if they're not doing anything to change it, you're a part of the problem as well in that
Right.
aspect.
Right.
and they
Exactly.
are their own kind of fraternity. Like we were just talking
Right.
about, I was talking to Spencer, like the fraternal police order. Like
Right. Like, that's a
those are
real
your
thing.
brothers, and yeah, like you know
Right.
what I mean. So it's kind
Right.
of like for those people to kind of go against their kind of family. It's the same thing with like when frats get in trouble,
Right.
where
And,
it's like it's hard
right.
for you to speak up
Literally.
against your whole org.
Exactly, and that's kind of how you have to look at it too, because it's like you have to like you have to understand that like they were probably taught the same stuff that like frats or even just any organization was kind of taught, which was the fact that like the people that you're in the organization with, you do kind of consider family. And so like if it, like for example, if it's just strictly men in that organization, then it's a brotherhood, and you're taught well what brotherhood means and stuff like that. So it's like when somebody tries to come against that brotherhood or like kind of affect that, then it's like it's kind of almost natural for you to want to defend that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
exactly. You have
So
to
so
defend
it's
them
like
against their
so
adversaries.
right, literally. So like from that aspect, I get it, and I'm not saying that it's right, but it's like you can understand where they're coming from in that aspect. Is the fact that like, because if somebody came against you and your organization or whatever you're dealing with, you would want to assume the best of the people that are in that org, because at the same time it's like you would have a hard time believing that you were in in an organization as somebody who would do something like that. Which is
Yes.
why you kind of go so hard for that person, because it's like, wait, no, we're both in this. So if that person's like that, then kind of like, what does that say about me?
Exactly.
And even if even if that person is into that type of stuff and you're not, you still begin to wonder like, wait, well, why didn't I see that? You know? And
Yeah.
so all those thoughts going into your head, like I can see the logic behind why, other police officers would go so hard for their fellow police officers. Not saying it's right, but I can see the logic in it. That's what I'm saying.
No,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense.
Can you maybe turn down your volume a little bit? I hear like a little feedback.
Oh, my fault.
Or like I just hear like my voice echo. Maybe I'm talking too loud. I don't know.
Yeah, get away from the mic,
I
EJ.
turned it down a little bit. Is that better?
I haven't heard anything.
Oh, maybe it's me then. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's definitely hard to talk about. There's definitely a lot of things that need to be changed. A lot of conversations need to be made. But at the end of the day, like you can really talk all you want, but no one complains when everything's going smoothly. So you really don't have an update. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
Chicago didn't have any killings for like I think like the first like what like 30 days, and then it was a huge spike. But like no one really talked about that.
Right. And that's why I just feel like, oh, really, right now? Because, like, for me, somebody who's not from Chicago, like, you hear Chirac, all that type of stuff. And, like, you hear how, like, Chicago's kind of like the murder capital of, like, the United States and stuff like that. You would be like, you would think that, like, reporting that they haven't had any killings in 30 days would be a big thing from a normal person. Like,
Yeah.
me being a normal person, I would think that that's a big thing that somebody would report on. But, yeah, that's not something I've heard,
Yeah.
So that's
The
kind of
media's
like,
messed
that's kind of
up, man.
crazy.
Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos owns the Washington Post. Why is he on the Washington Post?
Right. Right.
Well,
Like,
he's not a writer.
what has he done to earn him that standing on the Washington Post besides you posting about like how much money he has again for the 10th, 15th time? Like, you're telling me his net worth is just going up. So what do I care? Like, all you're doing is reporting that he's just making more money while I still have people in my community that are getting gunned down. Or if they're not getting gunned down, you're not reporting on that and showing that, we're making a difference.
Yeah. And I think like if you're in a better situation or you're like in like a suburban situation where that's not even a thought that crosses your mind. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like growing up, no one ever got shot in my neighborhood.
Right.
So like that's not even something you thought about. But some
Right.
people get shot every day. Like St.
Right.
Louis, I heard like didn't Pooh Shiesty, he was saying like if you get to the age of 15, like you're gonna know at least 3 people that died.
Right.
Like that's a crazy kind of childhood
That's
upbringing.
insane.
And the crazy part about that is like that's not just where he's from. Like here, I'm 21 years old, and I can name 5 people who I've known that have been killed to like gun violence and stuff like that. And here, I just turned 21 on Monday, type shit. So it's like, and it's sick because like I know people who like can name more people, and they're younger than me, and can name more people who they've known to die to like gun violence and things like that. So it's just the fact that like that's a reality in a like not just one place in the United States, but all over the United States. And it's the reality for a lot of like people of color and especially African Americans. Like that's one thing that's like prevalent is is like you can go to almost any major city and take African American youth, and they can tell you, if not definitely one, but almost up to like 3 5 people that they know have been killed, and they might be 21 or younger. I mean 18 or even 18 or younger. You know what I'm saying? Right, literally children. And so then it's like, how can you be surprised when they turn around and are killing people and stuff like that? That's all they know. All they know is to turn around and kill somebody who steps to them, or kill somebody who try to say something bad on their name or anything like that, because they've been taught that that's what you do. And you can't look weak. So how can you really hold that against them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, it's rough out here.
Yeah.
I know Spencer didn't want to talk about this, but like just coming from like Cali, because I know it's pretty hard to get like a legal gun in Cali, right?
And that's a sick thing too, bro. Is like it is like California's gun restrictions are kind of ridiculous, and I say they're ridiculous just for the fact that like for the everyday like law-abiding citizen that like wants to get a gun, like you really can't. I mean, whether it be handgun or like some type of like rifle, like an AR-15 or something, it's like if you do get one, there's a lot of restrictions that come for it, like come with it, and then it's like if you're from kind of like a specific demographic or you have specific stuff that you've done in your past, but you could be a totally different person now that inhibits you from getting a gun. Because for example, it's like let's say you live in South Central or somewhere like that's like a heavily gang populated area, but you're not part of that life, but you still would like a firearm to protect yourself and your family from that type of life, and because there's robberies in that area, all that type of stuff. It's a whole process you got to go through to get that, and then you can go through that whole process and then still not be able to get a firearm. Or it's like the restrictions are ridiculous. For example, like in California, like if you have a rifle, I'm pretty sure like you have to like to reload your rifle, you have to take the upper receiver off from the lower receiver, then take the mag out, put the mag back in, and then like put the upper back into the lower in place. And that
Wow.
was just recently a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's like, it's kind of like, yeah, I get what you're saying about people not needing like high capacity mags, 50 round drums. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you can't tell me you expect somebody to like be like to really be able to protect themselves when they have to literally take the whole top of the gun off just to reload, type of thing. So it's like, where's the happy medium? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the middle of this where you keep guns away from people who don't need them, or guns that are kind of ridiculous, where you don't need 50 round drums and stuff like that, but also allowing the people to have like a reasonable right to protect themselves if they don't have the means to move out of an area that's dangerous, or that can be, or that's a danger to them when they're just trying to lead a normal life. You know what I'm saying? And the same
Yeah.
can be said for even for New York. Like even in New York, for example, like you can't own any type of firearm like in the city of New York. But like there are places in New York where you could be the like a great person, all that, but there's just crime in your area, and you literally just want to protect you and yours, but you don't have the opportunity. And I feel like specifically with the Second Amendment, that's what it's there for. It's to
Yeah.
literally just for
Mm,
basic stuff, like literally just to protect you and yours. You're not trying to go out and kill somebody. You're not trying to like or just walk around with a firearm, wave it around. You just want something in your house to protect you and your family, and that's something that I can understand.
yeah, the Second
Yeah. I
Amendment
think.
was built off of if the government ever tried to overthrow the
It's
Declaration of Independence, it was so that the people could fight back for what was right and what they wanted their
right,
rights to be. Because in the
right,
Declaration of Independence, truthfully, the people that are in Washington right now, they don't do shit unless
right,
we tell them to.
right,
There's no change unless we're the ones throwing the protest on
Storming the
gun
Capitol.
reform.
right. Literally,
We're
literally
storming the
stories like
Capitol. Like, yeah, it's we the people. Everyone comes together and we're like, we choose you, you, and you to make decisions for us. It's
right,
like you didn't get there by yourself. So if you try to overthrow us, we have this gun law in place to where we're able to
right,
buy guns, so we can protect ourselves against your military that we put you like. It's a
right,
whole thing.
right. And it's sick because like that's what it's supposed to be, but then it's like that's not kind of what it is. And I feel like it's kind of abused on both sides. And the fact that like you can say like conservatives take advantage of that fact, and the fact that like they want the 50 drum mags, and all this stuff and all this crazy stuff, but then it's like you can also say like on the side of liberals who are saying you shouldn't have kind of any weapons at all. So my personal belief is kind of like
Who
you gotta
said
have to
that?
find that happy medium.
Yeah,
What?
it's really a state by
What?
state thing. Like I know,
It
like
is. It
I live
is.
in
Yeah.
Delaware, right? Like at 18, you can walk into. Back when I was 2018 was different. I think 2018 changed a lot of laws nationwide, really, but Delaware specifically. Like I could walk in after graduation. I could have walked into Dick's, gave him my ID, and bought any long gun.
Right.
Just
Right.
no real anything. Like I could
Right.
walk out same day from a Dick's. That's a sporting goods store.
Right. Right. Right.
And it's like now I think it's like 21 to be a pistol. So I just turned 21 in March. So I could go down the street and go buy a pistol today, and like there would really be no hesitation. I'd probably get it within like 1 to 3 days. And like that's like the maximum. And like there's really no restrictions. Like we're an open carry state. I've seen people in Walmart with shotguns on their back, and like there's nothing you can say. It's illegal. They're doing nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Like, is that scary to some people? Yeah. But at the end of the day, like they're in perfect like legality of the law. So it's kind of like it's really weird that, you know, and it doesn't seem like there's an excess of gun violence in states like that. When there's states like or areas that have like Chicago is really hard to get a gun. LA is hard to get a gun. New York's hard to get a gun.
Legally.
They have like
legally it's hard.
Gun violence. So it's kind of like, and they're getting like these military grade guns as well. So you have to think to yourself, is the U.S. government supplying these weapons in some fashion? Because it's like, how else would they get there? You can't go buy a gun. But now this guy got an AK-47 with extendo mags and a flashlight.
Right. And it's like, and it's sick because it's like, even if they're not directly supplying, it's kind of like they're indirectly supplying. Because it's like, I know for a fact, like in California, like, for example, like for your like Glocks or any handgun, like the only way you can have a 30-round magazine is if you go to another state and buy it. And it had to, like, you have to go to another state, buy it from that state, and then also say that, like, you bought it before a certain time. And so if you can do that, then it's like you can have it. And so, like, there's definitely loopholes to get around stuff. And I just feel like, for, like, how you said, when, like, there's stuff where, like, I'm not going to say less strict gun laws, but just gun laws that are kind of, like, more appropriately watched, then it's like it seems to be less gun violence. And I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like if I can have a gun and you're trying to cause me ill harm, now I have a weapon to literally shoot you dead. So you're going to think twice about robbing me type stuff. So I kind of get that side of things when people be like, you know, if everyone has a gun, it kind of reduces gun laws, which you can kind of advocate for. But at the same time, there's always going to be those people who are going to cause you harm, want to cause you harm, or just do stuff because they can, because they have a gun, they feel like they have power. So like I said, it's kind of hard to find that happy medium, but it's like, that's the point of politics, you know? You're going to always debate on what's the status quo or like what's the right, medium of stuff.
I think, like, personally, something that would help would be if, like, we got everyone to get a psych eval if you wanted a gun.
And right. And like I can't even like argue with that. Like that makes perfect sense because it's like if you want to own a gun, like and me who's someone who for example who's like sane, who's sane or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have no issue like any issue with that. And then it's like when people argue against having to get a psych eval, you kind of have to like take a look at them and step back. Like, well, why wouldn't you want that?
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's kind of weird that someone wouldn't.
They're not gonna pass it.
Right. Well, no, for real. Because it's like, so you want more guns, and I'm saying that I'm okay with having more guns too. I just want psych evals for everybody that wants to get one. What's the issue with that? Because then it's like, if you can't pass a psych eval, then you don't really need a gun, or like you shouldn't have one. So
yeah, it's not that you don't need one, you just shouldn't have
that,
one.
You know,
you should not have a gun.
Right, type shit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard though, because it's like, say like there is psych evals, right? Like nationwide, you want to get a gun, psych evals.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of the point where like every kind of doctor, like medicine, like you can always slip somebody $20 to get a med card, just like you can slip somebody $20 to get a positive psych evaluation. You know what I mean? So then it's like now you're like now something happens. Now you pay me $20, I give you a good psych eval. You go to the store, buy your 30-round drum. Extendo clip, you buy a freaking minigun, and now you're walking into Target and you're shooting somebody over some shampoo, and now everybody's like, oh wait, like what happened? And now it's like, oh, like this law is dysfunctional, and it's like, I don't know, like I think a lot of people jump to conclusions with like one exception to the rule, or like people usually think that outliers the kind of like, oh, that's what's going on, but in reality, it's really an outlier.
Right, and I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like and just like to your point, it's kind of like, yeah, you can easily pay somebody, like you said, for a med card. What's to stop them from doing that for a psych eval? And it's really like, at the end of the day, it's like nothing you can kind of do. You know what I'm saying? Because like how you said, like you can easily pay somebody an extra couple bucks to get like to clear you for a medical marijuana card, for example.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there's also nothing really to stop somebody from doing that, like with guns and stuff like that. You really just kind of gotta go based off faith for real. I mean, and that's even how it is now. In terms of like the miracle marijuana is like,
That's pretty much
you
how
just have to
guns
go
are
off things
too.
that like they're kind of doing this responsibly. And so, but you also have to realize that with any law you pass, there are gonna be people that will like willfully break that law. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it. Like there's just gonna be people that naturally do it because they can and they don't want to follow the law. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I feel like if more people can kind of benefit from the law than people who aren't going to benefit from it, then it's like, I'm not going to say overlook the people that are going to break it, but like, I feel like if it benefits more people, then, kind of kill one to save 1,000 type of deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Kill one to save 1,000. So you ever see like that train thing in like psychology class? You probably take psychology.
I
You know
was
what I'm
thinking
talking
psychology before, yeah.
where they have like the thing where it's like the train's going this way, there's a lever there, and it goes straight, it runs over 5 people, you could divert it, and it runs over one person.
Yeah. See, like I've never been presented with that specific scenario, but like I know what you're talking about. Like I've been presented with like scenarios like that before,
So are
and
you pulling
like
that lever?
I mean, I would say me personally, yes, just because it's like a lot of times like I am like a logical, like reasonable thinking person. And so like to me it makes sense. Like if you're telling me like, okay, like if you give me 1,000 people who are gonna die at the expense of this one person, then it's basic statistics at that point. And then it's like, you know what I'm saying? So like it's basic statistics. So it's like you're telling me this one person dies, 1,000 people live. And then also you can even say like from an ethical point of view. Like from an ethical point of view, one person dying compared to 1,000 is, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you
But then it's
choose one
like,
every day.
but right. But then too, it's also like if you throw in the fact that's like, okay, this one person that has to die is like a family member or something, then of course that's gonna, that's gonna throw a wrench in things. And I'm not gonna
I
sit
don't
here and act like,
I don't know. I think
right,
that's
I'm
no
not gonna sit here and
question
act like
still.
that wouldn't throw me off.
It
But
would?
I mean, for me personally, for me personally, I'm not gonna act like sit here and act like that wouldn't throw me off, or like I wouldn't consider it and be like, nah, fuck everybody else, is my family. Like I'm not gonna sit here and act like that because it's very possible. Like I've never been in that situation, but I know
Wow.
for a fact it's very possible in that situation. I could be like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna save my family member. Fuck those 1,000 people. So like,
Someone
yeah, from
actually ran this experiment
That's
with like
insane.
with people that didn't know they were being a part of the experiment. It's actually a really
okay,
good YouTube video. Don't leave
okay,
this video, but if you you should go watch this video. It's really
okay.
Oh
interesting
my
because
god.
in
You
most
gonna link it?
scenarios, huh?
You gonna link it or you just gonna
Yeah, we
tell us?
can link it
Okay,
in our Discord and our Reddit. Make sure to
bet,
follow
bet,
us everywhere, all socials. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed. But yeah, it's really interesting because most people like they'll see the train coming, right? It's on screen, so like they're in this place, and the big guy's who's like, "Hey, like watch this for a second, and it should be good." Like he tells them like, "Oh, the train's coming. Just pull the lever, and they'll get on a different track." So when they get on a different track, like that's the track they're supposed to go to.
right,
But so they have cameras everywhere, right? Now they have construction workers that are out there, and the construction workers are just walking around, and then there's 5 of them on one track, the one going straight, then there's one on the other track, and then they don't see the train. So they're just standing there, but it's all like staged, of course, right? Like
right,
and everything. But the people don't know this. So they're sitting there like, oh my God, they're gonna get hit by a train. And like the majority of the time they ended up pulling the lever and killing
right,
that one person.
right.
But it never got to like that point. Like it would flash up and be like, "Oh, this is just a test. Like it's not real."
Type
Right
shit, right.
before, like yeah, as soon as like they pulled it. But I think it's really interesting because I got presented that question in philosophy class freshman year, and my answer was I would just let the train go because he was kind of making it seem like you were liable for the one person's death, and I was like, well, I didn't drive the train. I didn't put the people there. So if I do something, I'm liable for that one death. If I do nothing, I'm not liable for those 5 deaths. You know what I mean? I didn't make those people die. They were sitting on the train tracks, so they're tied up to the train tracks, and
Right,
that was gonna happen if I was there or not. You know what I mean?
right,
So that was my kind of stance on it. Like, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna let it go.
right. I
Probably
love
walk away. Call Uber.
it. Damn, not call Uber.
Yeah, man, this is crazy.
Nah, that's sick.
But Spencer, what's going on next, man?
I don't. I'm still kind of thinking about it. Like if there were just 1,000 random people, I have no idea who they are, don't know what their living situation is. Like I have no connection to them at all. And then let's say my mom's on the track.
Yeah.
Am I gonna
Right, right, right,
end?
right.
Am
Like
I gonna
some.
end every single one of those people's lives just for one life that I don't think I could do that. I don't think my mom would want me to do that.
Right.
I don't think she would be like put my life over 1,000 other people's, because truthfully, I think every life is equal in an aspect. We all have the same bones, we got the same heartbeat. Some people's are a little faster than others, but that's just genetics. Everyone's got hair, like, except for the people who can't grow it. Whatever, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The only
That's
difference
valid.
for most people is EJ and Adam, y'all got a little bit more melanin than I do. That's about it. That's literally the only
I'm
difference.
dead.
Really, a little bit for me, just a little.
You're a little more light skinned,
Hey,
but it's
look, and
okay.
I ain't got that much more than EJ, low key. But no, I see what you're saying though. Like at the end of the day, like people are kind of all the same. So it's kind of like, how do you put, one life above
I don't
another?
think you can value one life over somebody else's,
Right.
like, at all.
Right. But the sick part
Unless
about
they
it
have the
is
cure to
like,
cancer, then I think their life matters a little bit more than other people's that don't
but
have
then
the
the,
answer.
Cancer?
If they have the cure to cancer, like if somebody knows the cure and it's like, okay, you're going to save this one person that has the cure to cancer, or you're going to kill 1,000 people, that dude who can cure cancer is going to save countless more lives than those 1,000 people.
If you
right.
see
I
the
mean,
guy who has the cure to cancer, he's gonna get killed anyway.
Look, hey, the FBI. Look at the FBI. Finna send him a text talking about you're on
Oh
thin
my
fucking
god.
ice. You're on thin fucking ice.
They're gonna break the lever on the train so you can't switch it, and you're like, wait.
What do you mean? Yeah, no, that's sick. But yeah, no, I definitely understand that, point of view. I definitely get that.
All
But
right,
Jared, I just
so
want to let you know we hit 30 subs.
Okay, bet
we
that.
hit
Look at that.
30.
30 subs,
I
man.
want to thank every single person that's in here right now. I
Yeah, no, for real.
appreciate every single one of
Like,
y'all for tuning in and just watching and supporting. It means a lot.
man,
Like, y'all have
cause
no
like
idea.
it's 30 of y'all, but I feel like a celebrity. Like 30 of y'all on this while I'm on this, so I appreciate y'all for real. You know,
So Adam, like, what would you say is like? I know you be in the kitchen a lot, right? You be
man.
chef. I be seeing
Ooh.
you
Oh
though.
yeah.
Adam's
You
a
asked me.
chef?
Outside of like the
Oh, oh,
culinary. Oh yeah,
oh.
you can talk about that chef
Oh,
Adam.
like,
That's
no,
all
I
I'm
can't
talking
can't even camp. Like I try to be humble, but I be in the kitchen going stupid. Like, for example, yesterday I made a chopped cheese. I made that with Hennessy and brown sugar bacon. Like,
about.
and that was on some high shit. Like I was high as fuck. I'm in the kitchen talking about, okay, I'm gonna make a chopped cheese with bacon, but what can I do differently? Fuck it, I'm gonna take some Hennessy, pour that in a bowl, put a little brown sugar, a little garlic powder, salt, pepper, put the bacon in there. Fuck it, let's see what happened. When I tell you that shit came out fire, I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna have to add this to my recipe book because I plan on owning a food truck. Give me a couple years, but plan on owning a food truck. So I was like, this finna go on the food truck recipe because this shit right here is fire. But yeah, I be chefing it up, especially too like with my girlfriend. So when she come to visit me from New York, like we be chefing it up just cause we both like to cook.
Yeah.
Like
That makes
we did.
sense. That's where you got that chopped cheese from, huh?
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I went to go visit her in New York, and she told me what a chopped cheese was, and I tried it. I said, "Oh, this is what the hype is about." Because to me, I wasn't believing the hype. I was like, "It's just a deconstructed hamburger. Like, what the
Right.
fuck do I care?" I tried that shit, bro. I was like, "Oh no, this different." Like, I see the vision. Like I see why they be on that grill over there chopping it up, talking, you know what I'm saying, flipping it, talking about what you want on it. Like, I see the vision now, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's like for example, like she just, you know what I'm saying, she just left me on Friday, like, went back home on Friday. But like while she was here, we cooked like fried chicken with like, garlic mashed potatoes and green beans. We made a whole lasagna with fresh made pasta. We did a salmon Alfredo with fresh made pasta. Like we really be chefing it up type of deal. And it's kind of crazy because like we be having the same mindset when it comes to food. Like I'll be cooking something, she'll be like, we'll go stupid in there, yada yada yada, and I'll be like, you fucking right. Like I didn't even think about that, but this shit we eat right now. You know what? Let's add that in there. And what do I know? This shit's fire. So I definitely be chefing it up for real. And then like even like for example, like that's the whole reason I went to school too. So like right now I'm getting a business management degree, and then I'm about to have a concentration in hospitality, which is restaurants, bars, and hotels. So I'm doing all that just for the sake of like working in like the food industry, kind of on the corporate side. But then I also want to like end up owning my own businesses and franchises, and then eventually down the line, later in life, opening a restaurant. So, I'm trying to, just be in the same realm as what I want to do and stuff like that. But yeah, I be throwing down. And I got a tripod for my birthday. Shout out to my girlfriend because I'm gonna keep talking about it. But she got me a tripod for my birthday so I can start recording videos and stuff like that. So hopefully by the summer, y'all see a YouTube channel. Come fuck with
Word.
me.
Better. Honestly, I don't see why your YouTube channel's not up now.
Yeah, you running it. You damn right.
Right. Start TikToking it.
Man, what? Gonna have to. Cause I don't look at cause the crazy part is I don't have a TikTok. Like I refuse to get one, but
It's
for the
addicting.
sake of the food,
Really?
I'll get one just for the sake of food videos, you know what I'm talking about. So
You could
Yeah,
just
it's
make.
addicting,
You
man.
don't have
Once
to
you get
watch
on,
it.
it's hard
Just
to get off.
yeah, you don't
man,
have to watch it. Just make content.
hell yeah. That really might be the move for real. But yeah, definitely cooking is definitely like my passion. Like ever since I was little and like cooking in the kitchen, like with my grandmothers and stuff like that, like they definitely like lended me my passion. And then just from there, it's just always kind of grown, and it's something that like me and my dad always did, together and stuff like that. So definitely gonna carry that, into later in life.
So like food trucks, like that's a pretty like saturated market right now, right? Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of food trucks recently.
right. And that's the thing too is like with food trucks is like because like it's not like crazy expensive to open a food truck. So
Mm-hmm.
like with food trucks too, you kind of like you have to find out like what is your market gonna be. Is it like I'm opening a food truck to give an item that's kind of like crazy and ridiculous and out there that's gonna draw in people just to try it for the sake of trying it because they never tried it before, or
Yeah.
do I kind of want to like have that balance of it's nothing too crazy, but it's something consistent that I know like consistently every weekend I'm gonna get the same 10, 15, 20 people at 2 in the morning, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Jerk
type
at night.
shit. Right, late at night type of shit. So you kind of have to figure out like what is it you want. So like for me personally, I want I'm gonna get the same 20 customers at 2 in the morning because that's my thing. Because I love the fact that I get the same customers and I get to build a relationship with them. But then it's also the off chance that I'm gonna get new customers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my whole thing is like I don't know what kind of food truck I want to open, but I know I want to open one, and it's kind of leaning towards just some quick handheld items, burgers, sandwiches, tacos, burritos, you know what I'm saying, something like that.
What
But
would you say you do the best?
me personally, that's the thing. Like me personally, though, I say I do seafood really well. It's actually
Okay.
kind of crazy.
Like
I do
crawfish? Do you do crawfish?
yeah, no, like salmon, gumbo, like just shrimp, any type of Alfredo with seafood,
Okay.
any type of crab boil, seafood boil, like stupid. Like I like again, like I try to be humble, but yeah, no, I could definitely can go stupid with one of those. No cap.
Word.
Like I just started cooking gumbo in like late December, early January, and it's definitely fire. Like you can't tell me my shit don't hit.
You say you can't tell me.
You can't even if it's not the like I think it would be the best you ever had, but if it's not the best you ever had, you still not gonna tell me my shit don't hit. So
I don't think I've
Facts.
had gumbo before, honestly.
You haven't had gumbo
okay, well,
shrimp, EJ?
I'm gonna get some for you though. I'm gonna whip some.
Sheesh. Gumbo shrimp
Say that.
smacks.
Say that. Word. So what else is what's going on like besides like culinary stuff, like school stuff, like what like really makes like Adam?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, personally, like what makes me me is kind of the fact that like I can interact with anybody,
Mm.
and it's like it's just the fact that like I can get along with anybody. So I have, like I said, I have my friends back home who I've been friends with since like we came out. Like our parents were friends, so we came out the womb being friends, and like really like sandbox babies. And then I have people, I just met at Howard. I'm a junior now, so I just met these people like 2, 3 years ago who I can also come like call some of my closest friends. So I think what makes me me is the fact that like I can kind of get along with everybody and like kind of understand where everybody comes from and understand that like there's different cultures everywhere, and I want to kind of experience those cultures. Like I love experiencing different people's cultures and experiencing like what makes that culture for them unique. You know what I'm saying? So like, for example, like I have like, a couple friends who are like Samoan and Tongan and things like that. And then going to like their specific like cultural parties and events and like being around their people and stuff like that is like something that like I really enjoy because like I feel like that's an honor for me to see that. And then two, for example, I get to Howard and I'm from California, so I'm on the opposite coast, but I'm also able, to make friends who are from that kind of immediate area or the surrounding area, a couple states away. And so it's just the fact that like I can kind of get along with anybody or kind of like understand, their viewpoints and things like that. Like you could be from Florida, I'm from California, but we could still, see eye to eye on stuff or get along together, And also too, I think I surprise a lot of people. Me being kind of like a bigger person and stuff like that, people expect me to come off as like mean or just like kind of just like aggressive and things like that. When it's like when you really get to know me, I'm one of the most chillest people you'll ever meet. Like I mean, damn near I say I'm fucking teddy bear. Like and that's not to say like I'm soft, but it's just like I'm chill. Like I don't, what I'm saying? I don't be fucking with nobody. They don't be fucking with me. I'm just, I'm me. And it's like if you chill, I'm gonna be chill and we're gonna be able to get along together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can't get along, then it's probably fucking you. I don't be doing shit.
Yo.
I'll be chilling.
He said, if we don't get along, it's you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm definitely, I've definitely had a lot of, like unique life experiences and things like that I'm grateful for, especially like growing up in California and stuff like that. So I definitely wouldn't trade it from the world. And, I'm definitely blessed to be where I am. Can't cap.
Always blessed.
Yeah, always blessed. Always blessed.
Yeah,
Adam, I got a question for you. If you were gonna conquer the world, like the entire Earth, how would you do it?
How would I conquer the world?
If you were to conquer the entire world, how would you try and do it?
Damn, that's a hard one because like knowing me, like I'm gonna want to conquer the world, but like have everybody kind of like be my friend still. Like, like yeah, I'm conquering the world. Like don't take it personally. Like it's just something I gotta do. Like think of it kind of like a Thanos scenario. Like this nigga he didn't want to have to kill everybody, but I could see where he coming from. Like, for the world to survive, half of you motherfuckers gotta go. And that's kind of like how I be when I conquer the world. Like, I would see it as something I gotta do. Like, I don't want to conquer the world, but apparently I'm the one that has to do it. So let me just, go ahead and try to make it as calm as possible. So if I was to conquer the world, maybe I'd do it through some type of mind control or something where, like, I wouldn't have to kill anybody per se. Like, I just gotta get in your heads and get y'all to listen to me.
So you just want to politely tell people like, "Hey, I'm the captain now."
Yeah, no, seriously, like because like even like Eric can attest to it. Like I don't like being that mean person. Like he knows I don't want to have to be that guy. Like
yeah,
I could very easily like get out of character and be that person. I don't want to be that person. I like being chill. I like being a funny, goofy person.
Of course.
But if I have to be that person, I'll be that person, but I don't want to. So it's like if all y'all can just listen to me and politely just let me conquer the world, it won't be no smoke. I won't kill y'all. I won't put y'all under no like serious slave conditions. Just let me run this bitch. But if that's not the case, and I gotta get out of character, then I'm gonna get out of character. Like that's just kind of what it is, But yeah, that's how I do it. It's like I'll conquer the world in a polite way.
Kill him with kindness.
Literally, cause that's all I do now is kill people with kindness. Like, so I'm gonna just that,
Hey, fair. No, not Hitler. He's not Hitler.
Hitler started off really, really nice. Everybody loved Hitler.
Well, see, the issue with Hitler though was like he came off as nice, but was really a fucking dick. Like a racist dick who was really killing off millions of people.
If we're gonna be honest,
I come off as nice, and I'm genuinely nice. Like I'm not
like flip side.
people because of their race, religion, ethnicity. Like if I really had to kill off people because they weren't listening, again, and at that I would try to treat it like a Thanos situation. I'm going to try to kill off an equal number of y'all, so you don't think so you don't think I'm playing favorites, I'm not playing favorites. I'm just doing this because I gotta do it. That's
like,
it.
Kind of like a lottery, like random selection.
Like literally, like if I could make it random and was like, okay, all y'all draw a number. If your number get picked, you gotta go. I would because
that's a lottery.
Again,
Wow.
I try to be as polite as possible.
That's a really interesting story. Do you know that story?
You said what?
That's called the lottery.
I mean, I know what a lottery is. Are you saying that there's an actual story called the lottery?
Yeah. Basically, right? So you got like a town, right? It's like an old town, and every year they have this thing called like the lottery. So all the men put in their everybody basically there's a white hat, right? It's a huge ceremony. The whole town's there. There's a hat, and then everybody has like white papers, right? So you reach in there, you can't look. You reach into this. That's not a hat; it's a box, so you can't see in. You reach in, you grab your paper, you hold it into your hand, and the whole town does this. I think Adam froze again.
Yeah, I think his computer.
Oh no, I ain't freeze. I just had to turn on my camera real quick. But yeah.
Oh no, he's good.
Oh
He's good.
yeah.
He's still here.
So basically, right? So you reach in there, you get a white piece of paper. If then everybody's supposed to like look at their paper. If you have the red paper, then you get stoned to death, and then everybody just goes back to business as normal.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Type shit. So it's not something that the people want to do, but it's just like because that's the way, that's tradition. They just do it, get it over with, and try to move on.
It's like the Hunger Games. It's just kind of part of your everyday life.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
I was watching this movie, right? And they had to keep a certain population in the town. I think it was like in Nebraska or like North Dakota. It might have been Nebraska. And it was like out in the middle of nowhere. And they had to keep like 237 people in this town. So this guy from the U.S. Census went there to calculate some census data. Goes there, pulls some data out. Notices like every year they've had 237 people since like the 1800s. He's like, what's going on here? So he starts thinking it's fishy, and they have this thing called a festival. And they're like, oh, we got to get ready for the festival. You're like our special guest. And then they bring him there, and then all of like the men in the community, they go in there and they pick names, just like in that other story. And whoever's name got picked, their wife gets hung in front of everybody, so they can keep him there. So like the guy from the census wasn't allowed to leave because then the number would be too low. So like since they had twins were born at the same time, they had to kill one of the twins and then kill another person just so they could keep that perfect number. And like the guy actually, the weird part though, right? There was a twist. Spoiler alert! If you're gonna watch this movie, I don't know what it's called, but at the end, right? They were saying like he got caught by like the mayor of the town, and he was like, "No, like this is legit. Like there's a curse on our town, and God doesn't want us to have more than these people there." And he was like, "Nah, man, you're just talking crazy. That's not true." So then he leaves, and then on their way out, they get struck by lightning, and they get hit by a semi truck, and they all die.
The hell?
So it's kind of like, whoa, they weren't just talking crazy.
That's some Final Destination shit.
Yeah, no kidding. That's some sick shit. Like that's really some sick shit.
I did not expect it. I really didn't.
Yeah, that's sick.
And like anybody that tried to leave, they would say that they had the fever, and they would take them off to like the woods, and then they would basically give them shock treatment until they no longer had the fever and didn't want to leave anymore.
It's sick because like I don't know if y'all watched the Blacklist, but it was like a Blacklist episode about that, where it's like these people were living in this community, and it was based off this book that this guy had wrote, where he like wrote that like the world was like contaminated, and anyone who has like tried to leave or escape would become infected, and the only one to save them would be like to burn them alive and bring them back. And like I don't know, it made me think of that, but like it's sick because like people really believe that shit. Like this shit really just propaganda, but they really believe it with their whole heart.
Yeah, we got a comment, Eva. It's like what Caesar's Legion did to decide who gets to live and who gets crucified.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even then, like, if I'm not mistaken, that shit was really just random too, and they was just taking people and they felt like it was your time. You had to go, which is sick because it's like, you can literally be minding your business, and they look at you as like, I don't like him. Let's throw him on the cross. Like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't shit you could do. Like, I would be sick as hell. Like, wait, I was just trying to eat. What you mean? Like you don't fuck with me?
Do
Yeah.
you think you could survive in Spartan times?
In Spartan
Fuck
times,
no. Hell nah.
like,
I'm
That would be
dead. Kill me
big
now.
on the team.
Kill me
You
now.
would be up there. You're tall. You would be up there in the front
You know how
lines,
fucking
man.
scrawny I am, bro? They're gonna shit on me.
Whoops if you were
They're gonna hit
more.
me with the shield and Sparta kick my ass off the fucking mountain.
like I don't know. I feel like with me and EJ, it's more like how fast can we get in shape type shit.
Yeah,
Because
really.
like if I could get in shape, I'd be a pretty buff nigga. Let's not, don't get that twisted. I choose to be like this, but you know. But yeah, no, I feel like, if I was in the right shape, I'm up there with my nigga Leonidas, I'm up there stomping horses in their chests, I'm throwing spears, I'm knocking them off horses and all that shit. Oh, you thought you was gonna get past this pass? The Thermopylae pass? No.
The what?
No.
What?
Sorry to tell you. Yeah.
That's funny, man.
But it is interesting though, like I think it's a lot to be said for warrior cultures though. I mean, just in terms of how strong they were. I mean, they didn't let, kind of nobody slack off. Even, pregnant women had to go through every day just kind of physical trainings and things like that. And I think they kind of like, and even though, like, I guess you could say, like, they were wrong in the aspect of, like, just throwing away or casting away, infants that they deemed were, like kind of runts or sickly. But I think, you can't knock the fact that, they were able to build a pretty, flourishing society off the, just war alone.
Let me ask you this weird thing, right? So you just made me get a flashback. When I was in high school, I had like this really concept that I really believed would really work, right? So you take everybody on the earth that has any kind of genetic disorders in their genes. Like they cannot even have the disorder, but they have like that trait, right? You
Right.
take all of those people and you put them on New Zealand. Because New Zealand's pretty big. They could all fit there. So then everybody else will be perfectly fine. And like 2-3 generations down the line, will essentially be like superhumans.
I mean, you can say that, but I don't think that'd be the case. Just because, like, you can screen for people. So, like, for example, like if you were to screen for everybody, so like you're screening for people who have traits, right? Who are alive right now, right?
Yeah.
But then, how are you going to tell about the people in the future who are going to develop these traits? Because I don't know if, like, for example, like I don't know if you've seen like Captain America: Civil War, but that was Hydra's whole thing, where they were going to kill off anybody who, even if they themselves didn't have the trait, they created an algorithm to where if they could figure out, or was it X-Men? It was either X-Men or Captain America: Civil War, but they created an algorithm to where like if they could tell that you were going to have like a superhero child or anybody, it could be 5 generations from now, you had to die right then. So like it's kind of like if you were to screen for that and take those people right then, there's no kind of 100% guarantee that 3 generations later, they wouldn't develop certain traits and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that
So
that
I
definitely
mean,
wasn't Civil War.
so like I guess I could say like it could work, but then there's no guarantee that it would stay that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess like
And
the
plus
possibility would just be lower.
and then also too, I feel like a lot of times if you don't have those, like those genetic, like I'm not gonna say diseases, but genetic disorders and things like that kind of like make people unique, then it's like you're kind of gonna get a species of people who are alike in a lot of ways, and then you kind of take away the uniqueness of humanity. Because if you get everybody who's above 6 feet, an amazing athlete, then that just makes them regular. You know what I'm saying? Like it just makes them regular at that point.
Everybody's
Because right. Because if everybody's at least 6 foot and is amazing at sports, then they're all just gonna be equal to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like who's gonna be better than that person if they're all great? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's kind of like why you need, you know, the genetic disorders and things like that, just because it separates people. Kind of. I'm not gonna say it separates the strong from the weak, but it just creates a uniqueness within humanity. But
Okay.
I mean, it's an interesting idea though. Like the fact that you said that is kind of like it kind of makes sense. Like if you do kind of take all those people out, then it's kind of like if you have straight healthy people, you assume that there would be some type of evolution to where there'd be like that next step, which is
Yeah, it's like It's like more like breeding than
right,
unnatural or than natural selection. You're just kind of breeding out the best. Because I mean, nowadays, like you really don't know. Like no one does a genetic background on their partner before they have a kid with them.
right,
But I think you
and
probably should.
right. And I'm not gonna say nobody has it, but I think that a lot of times it happens afterward. Because I know for a fact, like a lot of times, like after somebody has a child, the doctor will come to both parents and be like, okay, so what's your like, what's your medical history in terms of like both of you guys, and then your ancestors and things like that. Like, what are you kind of predisposed to, and things like that. So I mean, I guess there can be a lot said for people going, before they have a child and being like, oh, you're predisposed to addiction, so am I.
Yeah.
Should we consider having a child? Which is opens up another whole set of questions because then it's like, you know, are you having a child for the right reasons? Like, are you having a child out of like a love, and that's part of that child comes from your love, or are you having a child just trying to make the perfect human being?
I think that like to me, Spencer, you answer that question. I gotta think about that. I gotta think about that.
How do you not know how
Because
to
it's a real
answer
question
this?
though, because it's like, at what point does it turn into, you having this child out of like the love you have for somebody, and this child is an offspring of your love, and at what point does it turn into, I'm having this child to carry on my legacy, and I'm doing it strictly because I want my name to live on,
If
not for any love I have for this person or child, but because I need my name or last name, to live on and continue what I started.
if we're
I think
really
that's
talking,
yeah,
I'll go first, DJ. If
yeah,
we're
you
really
got
talking about this, man, like I look at it as if I'm deciding to have a child with someone, I truthfully do not care what your genetics are. I don't care how that baby comes out, what
Right,
it has,
right,
if it's perfect, if it has Down syndrome, autism, if it is born with cancer. I'm going to love it the same way that I think everyone else should love their child because that's
right,
something that you and your significant other created. So
right.
I'm just going to love it unconditionally no matter what,
Right,
no
right,
matter how it
definitely.
comes out.
And that's how it should be. Yeah, seriously. Because like that, because I feel like at the end of the day, if you truly love someone and you want to create another life, the way that life comes out shouldn't be, it's like that shouldn't matter.
No, not at
So if my
all.
child comes out and has autism, then it's like, well, what do I care? Like, what? Why should I care? My child has autism. Okay, like I'm not gonna view that as a disability. It's just something my child has, and I'm gonna still love them the same as any, what you would call quote unquote regular child.
The only disability is a bad attitude.
But I mean,
Definitely, I agree with
that
that.
sounds good, but like that's just not true. That only disability is not a bad attitude. That's just not true.
Of course, by technical standards, that's not the only case, of
And then
course, but
think about like disabled. Like if you're an able person, you can. It really just goes off the amount of work you can do, right? Because usually like people have jobs that are physical labor. The majority of people, like the average guy, they're doing some sort of labor. If you are disabled, that means that you can't produce that same quality of labor. Like that could be being blind, that could be, missing a hand or like missing a leg or something. And like those are disabled. That's why they have like the Paralympics because it's different. They don't put them in the regular Olympics for a reason. It's kind of like we had the conversation last time about like transgenders in different sports. We don't have to talk about that again. But
well, I don't know if you want to hear my views on that, but like, I don't know. Personally, it's like if you like, for example, like if you were a man and you still have like the same kind of physical attributes of a man, are still kind of competing like as a man, but you're now a woman. I do feel like that's an unfair advantage. And that's not me not calling you like not a man, like not a woman. I'm not saying like you don't identify as a woman, but you can't ignore just the basic facts of the fact that you have a physical advantage. But just in terms of like what you were saying, in terms of like how like yes they can't produce the same quality of labor, that doesn't mean that they can't, at the same time provide, great contributions to society. Because you have someone like one of like, for example, just Stephen Hawking. Like,
yeah,
you just take Stephen Hawking, like yes, he's somebody you would consider disabled, but he's made many great, contributions to, the scientific field. So just because I feel like that's the thing too, is like a lot of times we base our like value off of like physical attributes, when a lot of times kind of should be based off the mind.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Was he always disabled?
Not that I know of. I don't know if like he was disabled from the jump, but that's actually a good question.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
He
But
had
yeah, to
he
me, I
suffered from
feel.
ALS.
Okay.
Stephen Hawking survived
Oh,
ALS, and then
Okay.
that's when he became disabled. So he
Okay.
wasn't he
Okay. Well then,
wasn't born that way.
right. Okay, that makes sense.
So he was smart beforehand. He just
Right.
got dealt a bad hand with ALS, which is unfortunate.
But
I
I mean,
think.
but even to that statement, it's like too is like for example, like my mom, like she works, like I grew up like, cause my mom has always worked with people who have autism or like kind of some sort of disability. Like that's how she worked. Like that's the people she worked with growing, like even to this day. So like I kind of grew up around people with different disabilities and things like that. So like growing up around people like that, like I've noticed that like a lot of times a lot of these people are just as smart as us, if not smarter. They just kind of don't. They lack the same ability to socialize, like with the like socialize. They lack the ability to socialize with everyday people. But if you can get past that, they're some of the smartest people you'll ever meet, just in terms of like just basic numbers and things like that, or there's even like basic memorization. Like for example, there's a client that my mom used to work with where this person can remember, like you tell this person just the day you were born, and in less than 5 seconds they have like what, like how old you are and different things like that. So there's different little aspects that where they lack certain qualities, it actually kind of gives them advantages in other fields. So it's really how you look at it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
it's
saying?
like a blind person has like super hearing
Right,
sometimes, like
exactly.
really good sense of smell. Yeah.
Literally like that.
But like back to like the kids thing, I think like for me, like of course like you're gonna love your child no matter what, but I think like there also is an aspect of like you want them to have like the best life that they can have.
Right.
So
And then,
like I
yeah,
wouldn't go out of my way to choose somebody that had some sort of disability like prominent in their family
right,
because that could hinder my child's quality of life. And I
right,
think that's like the more important part. Like, does your child like is it right to have somebody? Because it's like kind of like the other thing is like society has a big impact on that as well. Because if
right.
we weren't in a society with like caregivers and stuff, and you just had to survive, they wouldn't survive by themselves.
Right. We
So
do,
it's
and
like,
that's very true because you have to look at like just what history shows us. People that were born with disabilities back then were just literally discarded as babies or discarded as little children because it was just literally too hard to take care of them.
yeah,
So it's kind of like with now modern medicine, then you kind of do have to look at, what is, like what do I want to do? Because the same thing, like for example, me myself, like I have a predisposition to addiction. So like me, having a child with somebody else who has that gene, you would think is kind of crazy. But it's like at the same time, it's also awareness. So it's like if I'm aware that I have this gene, I'm aware that this person has a gene, then it's like that goes a long way as well to us having a child together. If we have that love for each other and we have a child, then I feel like that, also goes a long way.
yeah, yeah. Like to me, I feel like children. I think because you're junior, right? You're a junior.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
like I'm
dude.
the second as well.
Right.
So it's kind of like for me,
Yeah.
having a child, I really never thought about like the actual like love for the other person aspect. It really has been more of like carrying on like not only like my legacy but like my dad's legacy. Like I feel like I have responsibility to carry on his legacy and like do better than he did. You know what I mean? Like do things that
Right.
he didn't get the opportunity to do. And it's like I would want my child to have to be in the best position to achieve
Right.
the things that I couldn't do or the things
Right.
that he wants to do and like really kind of improve like the whole green name as a whole. Like I kind of
Right.
look at children as that like an asset to not like financially or anything, but like an asset to like your kind of like social reputation. It's like
Right.
if you're like a Rothschild, right? Like
Right.
you're a Rothschild for life. Like you're one of the richest families in the world. Like you have like a certain
Literally.
responsibility. You have like stuff comes with that. But
Right.
if you're just like, someone that just doesn't have kids and your family name just dies out, it's kind of like the hundreds and thousands of years of people that have made it in order to get you to this point, it's like all just gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel
Right.
like in that scenario, like just kind of like an ancestral duty to kind of do the
Right.
best and create like the best child I can.
Right. And I think that says a lot too in upbringing, you know, because like for me, it's like, like you said, like I'm a junior myself, but like the way I look at it, it's like I want if I was to have a son as my first child, like I wouldn't want him to be the third, but not because like I want to continue my father's name, but mostly because like I would kind of want to continue my name in the hopes that like I'm doing something great. So it's like I'm putting like kind of like in a way the pressure on myself to do something great because it's like if I name this child after myself with the exact same name, but I kind of have nothing to show for it, then it's kind of like, well, what was the point? Like I'm giving him my name, but you know, he kind of has nothing to flex about it. But now, if I give this child my name and he has a way to where he grows up and he's like, yeah, my dad is, you know, Adam Christopher Swearingen the second, and I'm the third, and he's done yada 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 yada. Then it's like that's a flex. You could literally be like, I have the name of somebody that's done X Y Z, like, and has set the groundwork for me. Like that's a flex. And so that's kind of also why I would want to name my child like my first son after me, just because like it's in the hopes that like I'm doing what I need to so that he can come after me and flex on everybody and be like, yeah, I have this amazing ass name and be able to take pride in his, like his literally his first, middle, and last name, you know, and knowing that he's the third in that line and knowing that, you know, he can, you know, at the same time, you know, be on par with me, hopefully, if not better than me. Because I would want my son. And that's another thing, too. I feel like a lot of people, they want the legacy, but they don't want their legacy to like outshine them specifically. But that's the point of a legacy. But that's my thing. Like that's the point of a legacy is that your legacy can carry on and do greater deeds than you. You know, the point like your job is to make sure that they have the ability to do greater things than you. But if you're so concerned with them, like, but if you're so concerned with like cementing your name, but at the same time making sure they don't really pass you, what's the point?
You're just holding them back. Exactly.
Right. Literally, that's all you're doing is holding them back.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because it's like it kind of even going back to like the origins of like name. I guess not even like the origins of name, but like the most popular, like, you know, like third, fourth, fifths. You got like sevenths, eighths. Right. They were all kings. They were all royalty. Like Queen Elizabeth, like the fourth. Like that was something that you did just because you were a king. Like I don't know like the actual facts, but I'm assuming that wasn't popular amongst like peasants in England or peasants in Spain. They weren't like naming them kids after themselves. They would name them Josephine.
But then too, the crazy part about that too is like you can even see it with our like with you know African Americans or just even Africans in general. You know, like if like they would name their sons after them, and it's kind of like, but they would consider these people savages. Like you calling them savages, but then they themselves have enough pride and you know enough like you know in themselves to name their children after them. So like it's kind of like how can you even call these people savages when they're doing the same thing you're doing? You're naming your son after you because you know you want him to carry on your legacy, and they're doing the same thing, but you're deeming these people less than you. It was like kind of like how can you even do that for real?
Yeah. I think like a really interesting question is kind of like, did the ends justify the means for slavery? Like, cause slavery, right? Slavery it had a goal. It had a goal to build America, build America's economy, and build it as its independent country, right? So like, did that end like having? Because you could really say since slaves and black people built America, if there was never any slavery, we wouldn't have the same situation that we have today. In all actualities, we wouldn't have the same cities, we wouldn't have the same economy, we wouldn't have the same military force. They're a big part in a military force in every single major war. So it's like, did the ends justify the means?
I mean, I would say no, just for basically like based off the sole fact that like, yeah, yes, you can say like the United States itself wouldn't be the same, but it's like, who cares? Like well, for example,
you're an American.
I mean, again, like I should care because like I live in the United States, but at the same time, it's like I also have to wonder like if you didn't steal these millions of people from their natural home, I also have to wonder what like my homeland would be like, you know? Because like you could argue that because they came here, you know, that's why they were able to come up with these inventions and things like that and build America. But it's like if you didn't take that whole manpower from my home country or like from my ancestors are from, how do I know that they wouldn't be on par with, what the U.S. is, are better in terms of just how we live and view stuff. Like, how do I know that like the superpower that the United States is? How do I know that Africa wouldn't be that? How do I know that Africa wouldn't be unified under one banner and
One
there wouldn't be
Africa?
the same infra? I mean, and again, like I feel like Pan Africanism is hard, but I mean, I'm hopeful for it. Me personally, I love the
Really?
idea. No, yeah, me personally, I love the idea of it.
I was
Like
talking to
yes,
my
you
Zulu
like
teacher.
like
He's
yes, you
totally
have.
against it.
I mean, my whole thing is like, yes, you have a bunch of different countries with literally a bunch of different subcultures, but it's like at the same time, if you can unify under one banner just for the sake of preventing foreign powers from interfering, then it's like I feel like it's worth it.
So kind of like an EU version of
Yes, pretty much a EU yes, a EU version. It's kind of like what my version of Pan Africanism in a way is, just that like there's a central currency and there's kind of like Africa's united as a whole. And I'm saying it's perfect, but it's united on the front that like they're not gonna let outside powers interfere with what they kind of got going on. You know what I'm saying? Like they're willing to work with each other within the continent of what happens in terms of politics and governance and all that type of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like a hard subject because even like my Zulu teacher, he's from South Africa, right? Like born and raised. Then he came to America like knowing English to go to college, right? So kind of like talking to him about that because I never knew like that was a thing. Like people were trying to make Africa like one Africa. I never even heard of that before.
Right.
Like I never really knew much about Africa
It's the
as
first time
a
I'm
whole.
hearing about it.
So like hearing him say like stuff like the northern part of Africa doesn't even like say that they're African. So
Right.
it's like, and those are really like some of the richest parts. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Literally, yeah.
northern part of Africa, you got Egypt, all those countries up there. Like if they don't really consider themselves like African, then it's kind of like what's the purpose? Like who and do the people want this? Like a lot of
Right.
Americans say it, but I've never seen like one Africa thing in Africa, in any African country.
Yeah. I mean, like me personally, like I've seen it with, like I've seen like little glimpses of it in Africa and people who want it. And really with Pan Africanism with me, the first time I ever heard about it, believe it or not, was with Gaddafi and him preaching about wanting like a universal, African like centralized currency and things like that. Like even though he was a dictator, like just taking that aside, just his kind of views on wanting the whole entire African continent as a whole to kind of unify is like something that I can see and kind of like stand behind. Now, of course, he committed atrocities that, I don't agree with, but at the same time, just separate that and take off the fact that like he kind of wanted this vision of Africa to kind of be under like one centralized rule is like something that I don't think is, a crazy idea or something that's like something that shouldn't happen.
Well, on the contrary, why doesn't Asia do that? Asia has a lot of different countries. Russia's ginormous, China, Japan, India.
Asia's
Mongolia.
very proud from where they're from, though. Like when you see someone that's Chinese, they are so proud that they are from China. Or you have someone that's Japanese, they're super or South Korea, Vietnam, Taiwan. Like you get those countries that are, or the Philippines, that are like super culture oriented within their own culture. They are very proud of where they're from. Like they preach about it.
Definitely. And I mean, I feel like that, this like that should be the same again for African countries. But I just feel like the African continent itself has just been, let's be honest, molested by literally besides the US, every other, European country and things like that. Yeah. So I feel like just with Africa specifically in terms of Pan-Africanism, I just feel like if the continent itself was to, kind of unify as a whole, that being different from, and not to say that hasn't happened to other countries, but I just feel like with Africa specifically, for them to unify under one kind of common banner against kind of everybody else would be kind of like a dream of mine, just because it's like, it wouldn't be perfect, but it would be a start to something, Like
I think they kind of did it to themselves in a way.
Back.
I think they did it to themselves, and I hate to be this person where I want to be like, yes, it's Europe's fault, it's Great Britain's fault for coming in and quote-unquote taking the slaves, but at the same time, they were getting traded for diamonds and food and tobacco from Great Britain, and then other tribes would take slaves and enslave their own people pretty much, and then trade them to Great Britain and stuff to go get them over to the U.S. So
Yeah,
in a
but at the
way,
same time, you have to, I don't know, but at the same time, you have to realize with that though, it was a lot of manipulation going on
oh, a
because you have
hundred
to think about,
percent,
Yeah.
a hundred percent,
because you
yes.
have to realize too that like, were these people, taking rival tribes and selling them off?
Yeah.
Yes, but why were they doing it though? They were doing it because they knew that if they didn't do it, these people were going to enslave them. So really, at that point,
Exactly.
it literally just became just survival at that point. They weren't doing it because they knew, like, because they wanted to, or like they knew they had to. Because think about it, if Europe never showed up and tried to take these people as slaves, they just would have been rival tribes, and either they would have fought and the one would have wiped the other out,
No,
or
they're
like they
they're
would have
still
fought
slaves in
and
Africa
found some way to
today.
come together. But like at the end of the day, no one kind of like was thinking about, oh, I'm gonna like take my rivals and sell them off as slaves just for money. It was more so I'm selling these people off as slaves in hopes that they're not gonna take my people next. And then what happened when the rival tribe run out? Damn, I'm out of people to sell to, like, to Europe. What's about to happen? I'm next. And if I don't find somebody else for them to take, they're gonna take me
It's
because
only a matter of
what do
time.
they care for? They only care about me to the extent that I can like I'm part of their supply and demand scenario. You know what I'm saying? I'm supplying them with the demand. So when the supply runs out, I become the supply, and that's literally all
Oh
it
yeah.
was. It was literally economics. It was the fact that it was easier for them to go ahead and buy slaves from these people for little to nothing on the dollar than trying to go into different jungles and just go in there and capture them and risk themselves being killed, because it's like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to buy slaves from another tribe for pretty much little to nothing and just make it seem like they're getting a great deal, or do I want to risk my life, go into this jungle worried about getting eaten by some type of animal, getting bit by some type of snake, something, or worried about getting killed in the process of capturing these people? Let me think. I'll just pay for it. Like, it's really
Yeah.
that simple, because that's how it is even nowadays. It's like, just think about it with your food. You don't kill and catch your own food. You just pay for it because it's easier to pay for somebody to kind of already pre-clean your food. And that was pretty much what it was with slaves. It was easier for them to buy slaves than it was for them to go in there and catch them. That's literally all it comes down to. At the end of the day, it was straight economics and business to them. You know.
I wouldn't say it was their fault at all, really. I think that it's always the fault of the slave owner's fault, like. But then that's what I was asking Adam earlier, like, does like that those means justify the end, like,
Right.
because
Like,
it's kind of like without Europe invading Africa, right? There would have been no countries, right? They didn't have borders before. They had different tribes that were separated by the language you spoke,
right.
and that was kind of like the countries. But there was no countries, so it's kind of like in the progression of human evolution. I guess it really is more of a philosophical question, is like, what is the end game for humans, right? Because if you're talking about technology and becoming essentially like a part of the do you know what the oh my gosh, what is it called? There's a specific term for it. It's like this Chinese billionaire uses it a lot. And oh, the singularity. Do you know what that is?
Singularity in terms of what though? Like, what kind of singularity?
That's what it's called. So
Oh,
it's
just a
like,
tracing. Oh,
yeah, they call it like the singularity, and it's essentially like the AI that everybody's talking about. Like when people are talking about like, oh, AI is like bad or scary or anything, like the
mm,
singularity is that, and
okay.
like it will basically be able to form its own conclusions
Right,
essentially.
and gain its own consciousness and determine that it's better than humanity or turn against humanity and all that type of
Yeah,
stuff. Okay.
exactly. Like that kind of thing is like the singularity. So it's kind of like in that terms of sense, is that like what humans are there for, to advance technology? Because I mean, technology was really only ever to help us eat. It was like, why did agriculture start? Because people wanted to drink beer and they found out they can make beer from wheat. So without
Right.
people wanting to get drunk, we would have really never had technology to begin with.
I mean that too, but besides getting drunk too, I think it's just also too, like, just basic eating. Like, it was easier for people to grow wheat and cultivate wheat than it was to risk, like how I just said, risk their lives, go into the forest or something and hunt an animal and have to worry about that animal killing them back. It was just more easier for them to domesticate animals and grow crops.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is with technology. It's just like it's there to make life easier per se for us.
And then it kind of raises the question, like, if the slaves were never brought from Africa and they were able to prosper and eventually create their own kind of current situation, but more of like an African notation to it, would they go get slaves? Because there was
Right.
slaves in Africa for a long time.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Like,
so it's like, would they
right.
go to Europe and go get slaves? Would they go to Asia and go get slaves? Like,
Right.
they could do the same thing, and we could just be in Africa right now instead of being
Right.
in America. And America could be the Africa with all the Native Americans running around.
So,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
type shit. Right.
So it's
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
was it
that's valid.
inevitable?
Right. I mean, I don't know if you could say it's inevitable. I just feel like how you said, like just a scenario of if Africa was, I don't want to say it was on the like if it was, up to the European standards, but let's say it was, more advanced, in their minds and was kind of on the same level as them. Then it's kind of like, where would they have gotten their slave from? And so I feel like that does kind of raise like, a good question because you could still debate that they would try to take slaves from Africa, or you could debate that they would have found, another group of people who they deemed savages, and maybe that might have been, the Native Americans or somebody,
We got Aaron Lord in the chat. Shout out to
Oh,
Aaron.
Aaron, yes, sir.
Podcast guest, go check out that episode. Stream highlights are up. He says, "Tell my dog to take a bong rip for him."
Oh yeah, yes, sir. I got you. Yeah, I got you. I don't know if I'm gonna do that on camera, but I got you. I'm gonna take one for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting though, because it's kind of like
This has been crazy to listen to.
on. As long as people could have slaves, people have had slaves.
Right.
So it's like, but on like the same scale and like the same type of slavery, like that's like more specifics. But I don't know. I think it's really hard to say like, oh yeah, like slavery was worth it because now look at us with like we're the number one power in the world,
Right.
and like everybody's free. You know what I mean? Like that's easy to say, but I mean like
Right.
it's a deeper kind of connotation to like how it affects the people. You know.
And then also too, it's funny because like somehow everybody finds a way to justify having slaves that aren't their own people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
for example, like Rome. Rome slaves were from everywhere that they conquered. It wasn't Roman people. You know what I'm saying? Europe, when they took slaves, it wasn't European people that were their slaves. It was Africans and people from other countries. So I just feel like it's funny that, people somehow find a way to justify that their people are more worthy of being slaves.
Yeah, that's a strange concept.
Right. Like,
yeah,
just don't make no sense.
Yeah, I think everything at the end of the day is really just comes down to like looking at stuff from like a societal standpoint and looking at stuff from like a survival standpoint. Like,
right.
Do you need slaves to survive? No. But do you need slaves to prosper? That's a different kind of conversation because it's like even like what's a new slave, right? If you're making the average income for like a black person, right? Let's think it's like $43,000 a year. That's not even $1,000 a month. Or
right.
It's like what?
If that.
It's like a.
You're making almost $700 a month.
Yeah.
That's off the top of my head. That's not a calculator or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're doing that, right? And you're working 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week. You got 2 jobs and you're barely living. But all you're doing at the end of the day is you're building up Jeff Bezos' pockets. You're fulfilling his orders.
Right.
You're building up Facebook's infrastructure and their AI systems. And it's like, are you a slave? Like, just because you're getting paid enough to put some food on the plate, like, is that quality of life just like a new version of slavery?
Right. I mean,
I don't know, because you're not being forced.
What are you going to do? You're going to die?
You can go be homeless. People choose homeless over a job all the time. Look at how many homeless people we have, EJ. Look at all the people that don't want to go out and work.
I mean,
look at all the people. No. The only people that have an excuse that are homeless are veterans. All right, and the people that got unlucky in a situation that they got put in as a child, because some people have been homeless since they were in their teens because their parents kicked them out. So fuck those parents. But there are some people that are homeless by choice. And we will not sit here and act like that is not a fucking thing, because some people really do look at it. Yes! They are under a fucking bridge, and they're like, I want to be here.
There are.
It's not all of them. It's
there
not
are
all.
people that are homeless by choice, but then too, it's kind of like look at their choices though. Like what I'm saying, like at the same time, like yes, they chose to be homeless, but then it's like, is them being homeless really too like is that really far off what like their life would be like working? It's like okay, do I choose being homeless and not having to work my ass off and being semi happy, or do I kind of work my ass off to live in a one bedroom apartment where I'm barely making rent and can barely feed myself or my family? You know what I'm saying? So it's really I'm not saying like it's not like again it is a choice, but then it's like damn, that's not really much of a choice. Like
I mean, I feel like it is though, cause like if you me and EJ talked about this. If you're really keen and you have a set idea and goal, like how you have with you're gonna make your own food truck and try to have your own food truck company, you're gonna work your ass off for that. Are you gonna have fun
right,
doing that? Fuck no, that shit's gonna be fucking hard every single fucking day until
right,
you
start
make it
like
to where you
starting
wanna
out type
be.
shit. It's gonna be hard starting out. That's valid.
These people that are choosing to be homeless, we're not talking about all homeless people, because some homeless people got put in a really
Right,
bad situation.
right.
We're talking about the ones that are choosing to be homeless. They are weak-minded. And they honestly deserve what they are giving themselves, because they are choosing to be homeless. You can go get a job. You can go work your ass off. You can go get that apartment. Now, are you going to have to figure out some things? Yeah, you're going to have to figure out transportation. You got to figure shit out. But that's life right now. And you were born into it, and you kind of got to figure it out.
I mean, if that's something like you're born into and you feel like, that's just somebody's life, that's valid, that's what they got to deal with. But then too, at the same time, then you have to, kind of count for the like, what about generational though? Because there are some people too who like whose families have literally been in this situation for generations and have tried to, kind of break the system. But then it's like, how do you break that system when there's kind of a lot stacked against you? You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that like everything is stacked against you and you can't make it. But at the same time, you gotta wonder like just the basic differences, even though it might be a little difference or something that we consider like a little like something that's minor, it can really go a long way if you're looking at it in the long term.
I mean, you got to look at who people are taking advice from, too, because some people are like, oh, look at my neighbor, look at this, look at that. Do you want the same life as your neighbor? Adam, if I gave you advice on a food truck company, would you fucking listen to me?
I mean,
I
depending on
hope
that
the
fruit
fuck
shop.
not. I hope
I
not,
mean,
Adam. I
yeah,
know
but
nothing about fucking food
if it was a
trucks.
like if it was like a reasonable food truck, like I'm not saying like I'm gonna copy their whole business model. I might listen to some stuff, but yeah, no, I'm not finna sit here and be like, oh, that's what they're doing. Let me copy that, word for word. Like, I mean, that's not about to
No,
happen because
that's not what
I
I'm
have my own
saying.
business plan. Right.
I'm
I'm
saying
not finna
as
just sit
like
here and do
if
my own thing.
if I wanted to go make the next Amazon, I'm not gonna go to Mark Zuckerberg who created Facebook. That's stupid. He's not doing what I want to do.
So what are
Who's
some
doing what I want to
resources
do
that
is Jeff
homeless people
Bezos.
have to make it out? Like, there's really no guidebook on saying if you get a job here, because it's like, right, so now you'll be in Section 8 housing, right? So you'll probably get the government to pay for your housing. So now, if you're a
Lucky
guy,
dog,
you're
look
not
at
eligible
you.
for food stamps. So you have to pay for all your food now.
hmm
If you have to actually want to look
Ramen
for a
noodles or
job, you're
dollar.
gonna have to go on the internet. Now you have to buy a device with internet capabilities, and that'll be your whole first check, basically. Like, if you get $15 an hour, you work all week, you're bringing home like $400 a week.
Right.
Like, that's just the reality. Like, $400 a week, you can't go
It's
buy
not
a
shit.
$200 laptop.
Right.
You're
Right.
not. No, no, no.
That's
You don't need EJ. You don't need a laptop. You go get a used one of these. And what I'm showing on the screen right now is a fucking phone. You go
you're gonna
get
get a
a
I
used
mean,
phone.
and
you go
that's
get a
valid too.
used
But then you gotta
phone.
realize too, like not all phones are the same either, because then it's like that person can't afford an iPhone, like afford an iPhone, for example. But even if they go to get an Android, yeah, they can pretty much do the same stuff as you. But then you also gotta realize that there is a big technological gap in terms of what they can do, because you with your MacBook or brand new MacBook can do way more than somebody with a basic Android.
What
Like
can
that's
they
just
do?
reality. Like that's just fact. Like you
What
can't do the same amount of stuff,
what can they do
and
that an Android
is.
can't?
That's just what it is in terms of and even then, like even so, for example, even with the Android, in terms of just speed and the like the efficiency and way you can do stuff, it's just not the same. So then, yes, you can be like, maybe you're not able to do stuff at the same pace, but you can still do stuff. But then you still have to acknowledge that's a drastic disadvantage to somebody. and there's always going to be that gap in there.
You don't think
And
people don't go
so,
through disadvantages every day though?
I mean, people go through disadvantages every day, but then it's like there's disadvantages that you cause within yourself, or disadvantages that you can't deal with, and then there's disadvantages like I said, that you create yourself, and there's disadvantages that are just stacked against you from day one, and that's just what it is. Because
I,
there's
f-
always gonna
I feel like
people
that's
are born in
adversity.
with disadvantages. There's people that are born into this world with literally everything stacked against them, and they're not expected to survive or make it, and some people do, some people don't. And that's just kind of what it is. But at the same time, it's like you have to wonder, like, if African Americans or just people in general kind of got the same advantages that other people got, it'd be interesting to see what they could do. Like if I came out the womb getting the same advantages as somebody who is, white, you know, in my life, then you really do have to sit there and wonder and be like, well, damn, could he do just that or more? But it's like if I don't never get the chance, you'll never know. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of people, is you never really know what their true potential and true greatness can be, because there's disadvantages are stacked against them from day one.
But I think like it's really important to note like basic statistics, right? Like you have a bell curve, right? And in America, there's what 300 million people. The majority of those people are going to be on the side of average or below average, right? That's just basic statistics. Then you have like the middle, like the little middle part. Then you got like the above average people, right?
Right.
But not everybody can be above average. Like not everybody can make it. Not everybody has the social skills. Not everybody has the networking skills, the personality for it, the brains for it, the wherewithal to do your own thing. Like even as something as simple as making this podcast come to fruition. And shout out to all the 10 people in here watching right now. But telling somebody that's just a homeless guy, like go make a podcast and get 10 viewers in it. They wouldn't even know where to start. They're at an extreme disadvantage. But it's kind of like people like even at Howard, right? There's what 13,000 people there now. The new class. Not
Right.
everybody is gonna make it. Some people are gonna live a life of an average person. The majority is, because that's what average means. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's the average. It's nothing special. It's not drastically good. It's not drastically bad. It's just normal. And what that means is $43,000 a year. That's average. And
Right.
like there's nothing wrong with being average, but the notion that kind of like anybody and everybody can make it is just simply not true. There's too many people that don't have industry knowledge. There's too many people that don't know what the right books are. They don't have the right mentors. They don't have the right resources. Even like the people that they hang around aren't the right people that will push you forward. The relationships they're in aren't with significant others that are going to propel you to become your best self. And your best self might still be average. You know what I'm saying? Like that could you could be doing everything that you can do and handle, and you could still be average. And that's just how it is. So it's kind of like a weird notion to me that like, you can just grind from anywhere. Anybody can just grind and just become this, become that. When I truly don't think that's the case. I think that's kind of like you're just selling dreams at that point. Like most people that tell you that stuff are just trying to sell you a course.
I don't I
I
don't I don't
mean,
think
And
that's
I
I
mean,
don't think that's true. I don't think that everyone can make it, but I think that if you have the right mindset and the will and the want, because it really does come down to how bad you want it. Everyone's given a plate. You can't make them eat. Everyone's sitting at their own table, and when they have a goal, they're given a plate. You got to eat every little bit up off that plate to make it on your table.
and that makes sense. That's fine and all, but at the same time, it's like when I'm giving, but like let's say like to achieve, for example, to achieve your goal, you got to eat what's on your plate. But at the same time, how you expect me to achieve my goal when you putting doubles, triples, fourths on my plate and giving the person next to me a crumb? You telling me we competing for the same thing, but I got to work 4 times as hard for it. So what is that telling
In
me?
in
That's
what
telling me
in
that
what
that the
situa in
system's
what
bullshit
situation does
though,
that happen?
because you're telling me that this person all they had to do was eat a crumb. That all they had to do was go to their daddy and be like, "This is what I need," and that's not knocking them. Great for them, they were able to do that. But then at the same time, when I have different outside factors stacked against me that prevent me from doing that, and I don't just need to eat a crumb, I need to eat my plate plus somebody else's plate, and then pick up the slack for him. And it's like, how do you expect me to succeed when I have so much on my plate to do? You know what I'm saying? Like I have to work twice as and like I don't know if y'all ever seen Scandal or anything, but I'm finna quote Scandal, I don't care. But in the show, bro is like, you have to work twice as hard to achieve half of what they got. And that's the true fact for a lot of people in today's, in America specifically. You have to work twice as hard just to achieve half of what you want of the upper class, or even just the people above you. When in reality, if the people above you wish to just go ahead and give you a hand and stop being so selfish, it could really make a difference. But we don't
Selfish.
see that. We see it as if I give away what I got, give away what I have, then I'm gonna be just as down bad at them as them. When that's really not the case. That's kind of just what we're conditioned to believe.
You think the upper
Because
class is selfish?
I mean, you said what?
You think the upper class is selfish?
Oh, very much so. But
How
even
so?
then,
Hold on, hold
but
on, hold
like,
on,
but
hold on. We're gonna get back to what you're saying. How's the upper class selfish? I want you to finish that statement.
how is the upper class selfish?
Yeah.
And by upper class though, do you mean like upper middle class or like actual elite class? Because there is a difference.
No, I'm talking you have $500 million in your bank or more. I'm talking upper class, the real upper
Like
class.
really like elitism. I
No,
mean,
no,
if you
no, not
consider
elites,
yourself,
not
That's not even
billionaires.
elite
I'm
though. That's
talking
not
I'm
even
talking
a
upper
top like
class.
person. Like
Upper class
I mean,
is
but my thing is like, okay, so for example, you have $500 million.
mhm.
Like my whole thing personally with me is like, if I know I had that kind of money, whether I worked hard for it or not, I would like to believe that like with the values that I was raised with, I would use that money to really make a difference in this world.
Yes.
And I think you can really argue that people with this kind of money aren't really making a huge difference. And yes, they can donate money and support a cause and yada 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 and write it off. But at the end of the day, a lot of that shit is done just because it looks great, publicly. Like they do it because it makes them look great in the public eye. But if
Okay.
I had $500 million, I would like to honestly believe that I would put a lot of that towards making the world a better place.
And you wouldn't
And
tell
yes, it's
anybody
easier
about it.
said than done. You said what?
You wouldn't tell
what do you mean
anybody
by
about
that?
it? Hold on,
What do I
EJ.
mean by making the world a better place?
Yeah, like with $500 million, right? Like, well, first of all, how much of that are you just automatically saying this is untouchable? Like, this is just gonna go to my family line for the rest of forever. Because it's not
I
you're not gonna
mean,
give the whole $500 million away.
of course, like nobody in their right mind is gonna give the whole $500 million away. My thing is like, I would like to believe that you would do something, if not half, a decent majority with it, because I know that me as a person, it's gonna like that's like spending $100 million or more. Like that's some serious shit. Like you could really like take $100 million and be fine for yourself and a couple generations down the line if done right. So really, at the end of the day, it's like if I'm not taking the majority of what I have and kind of passing it forward, not just for my family, but the rest of like the people around me or my community, what's the point? Because if I have $500 million, my family doesn't need that whole $500 million. You know what I'm saying? Why not
Understood.
take,
Why?
why not just like, why not take what I need and invest it in my community? Like, that's my whole thing.
Yeah.
Is like, the thing with people that, have this abundance of money, it just comes down to greed. Like, I get it. Yes, it's your money. Yes, you worked hard for it. But why not pay it back? Literally, why not? Like, can you give me a good answer as to why you wouldn't help those below you?
You
Like,
no one can
because
give an
then
answer
too,
to
it's
that.
like, okay, so,
I can give you a good answer.
okay, go ahead.
So let's just say like Delaware, for example, right? If I go to like Wilmington, Wilmington's pretty bad. It's pretty bad in like South Wilmington, right? Pretty bad area, very low income, high violence area. It's not a good place to live, right? So if I were to go to that community, and let's say well, first of all, it kind of goes into things, right? So like, am I writing people checks? That's probably not the best idea. You saw what the stimulus checks did. People just blew them on TVs and weed and whatever vice that they have
What do you
because it's
expect
extra
though?
money they weren't, but it's money that they're not used to. That's like the whole point. It's like you have money, you're used to that, you have a lifestyle around that money. You give someone a lump sum of money, that's why most lotto winners go broke. They
Right,
don't know
because
how to
they're
they don't
gonna
understand.
blow that money.
So it's
But
like,
like,
yeah, exactly. That's the same
right.
thing that I think would happen if you went back into communities that truly did not understand and like they're not looking to understand. I'm not saying everybody would end up broke, but I believe most of them would end up in that same situation again.
I mean, but here's my thing too: is like you're saying like you would just give that lump sum back, and then like you're making it seem like you would give the lump sum back and then tell them like go ape shit. What I'm saying is actually invest it, because you have this five. Because if you have $500 million, I'm thinking you have the knowledge and the patience to have that kind of money. So if I'm not saying just give it away, but what I'm saying is reinvest it in your community, reuse that. So I'm
By
not just
doing
saying
what
tell
though?
people here's your money, like here's money, go ape shit. I'm saying you take the charge. You have the money, and if you're not going to do it yourself, then you can delegate and be like, this is what I want for my community, this is what I want to spend, let's make it happen. I'm not saying just go to that community and be like, here's a bunch of money and y'all can do what you want with it. I'm saying actually take that money and be like, okay, this is what's happening in my community. I'm going to take this money and I'm going to build a grocery store, I'm going to build a youth center, I'm gonna build, a park. Like you're actually taking that money and actually like putting it to good use and actually delegating it somewhere. Not let me write a check and wherever it goes, that's where it goes. I'm saying if you have this money, why not actually take this money and the knowledge you have about this money, because apparently you must have some decent knowledge if you have this money. And I'm talking about from a standpoint of you actually earning it. Then why not go back and reinvest it? You know what I'm saying? Because you can't tell me it's not a good investment. And even if it's not a good investment on paper, if you really are for your community and you believe that, your community is struggling, then why not actually do that? Like, you can't tell me that's a bad idea to go back and actually be like, hey, I made it out. I have this knowledge about money. Let me go back and do it free of charge. And you're like, wow, free of charge, this money I earned. So fucking what? Like, you were blessed, bro. Like even if you look at it from the standpoint that I earned it, you were still in a position to be blessed to receive that position. So why not try to go do that and help it for somebody else, instead of just being selfish and being like, me, I did it myself, I don't need to give back. Then they didn't help me, why should I care about them? You should care because you're human. Like, and I think that's what people get away from, is the fact that like they really don't realize what it means to be human, in my opinion.
So rich people
What
don't
is your
understand what it
answer?
means
I
to
know
be
Spencer
human.
he's thinking something over there.
Yeah, no,
What
no, yeah,
what
yeah.
is
I'm waiting to hear what he has to say.
So, fortunately, I grew up, obviously, in a wealthy household. Fortunately, I'm grateful for everything that I have and that my parents have
Right.
given me and that my grandparents have given me. But nowhere near did my family not start from the bottom and make their way out and still make a change. So I'm gonna give a little background because some people in the comment want to be a little mean, I would say, but I don't think
what's
they
going on in the
understand.
comments?
I don't think they understand where I'm coming from or who I am, so they're gonna prejudge me, I feel, in a way, from just the color of my skin, obviously. But I mean, it's true. I mean, people are gonna look at me and they're gonna be like, "Oh, he's white. He played lacrosse. He's got money." Like, they're looking at the video. They're like, "He's never struggled in his life." No, I haven't struggled. If you want me to be completely honest, I'm grateful that I've never struggled and that my parents have kept a roof over my head and stuff. I'm not sitting here saying I'm better than anyone, thinking that the upper class isn't selfish, because some of my family is a part of the upper class, so I see it from both sides. Like, but and I don't even know how to explain it, bro. Like, if we're really gonna get into it, my mom grew up in Florence, South Carolina. It's bumfuck middle of nowhere, white trash central. She grew up in a 3-bedroom house with 7 of her other siblings, and her siblings ask her every day for money, for rent, food, and we give it to them. My mom, again, was in an elementary school that didn't have a lot of fortunate kids, but still found ways to give back to the community. Like, when I was a kid, my mom would go and buy bikes for the less fortunate around our area, and we would go give it them away for Christmas for families that couldn't afford that for them. So, like, even though my mom is not in the 1%, she's still giving back. And the people that are in my family that are part of the 1% that have donated millions to Relay for Life and for black communities in Atlanta is crazy to me, that people are going to sit on here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when I don't think that the upper class is selfish.
What do you think about all sports all day that says you're white, you're already ahead, there is no bottom, a
Hmm.
400-year head start?
I think that is their opinion, if you want me to be honest.
I mean, again, you can say that's their opinion, but then like you can't negate the fact that it's in a way it is true though, because then you have to realize that
Okay.
if we because you have to realize like if I was the same way, like I literally had the ability, just the base think about it, just the basic ability for me to track my ancestral heritage,
Mhm.
just for me to know where I came from and know that everything that my family worked for was something they had and wasn't taken away from them.
Okay.
That's not the case with a lot of African Americans. The case with a lot of African Americans is whatever their family worked for, it wasn't what their ancestors worked for. It wasn't theirs. They had to do it because they were told to do it. They didn't get a choice. They didn't get to like tilt the work on the land that they worked on, for the betterment of their actual family. They did it because if they didn't do it, they were gonna die, or even just worse. And
Understood.
that's the huge difference
Yeah.
is when you have that head start and you have the ability just to be able just to hold on to just basic assets, that's where you have the advantage. So for 400 years, we didn't have that advantage. We just couldn't own property. We couldn't own what we had. We couldn't even we didn't even own ourselves. Somebody else owned us. So just the fact that you had that basic right already puts you at an advantage. Even if you want to call it a small advantage, it's still an advantage nonetheless.
Okay.
And you can't even deny how great of an advantage that is. Just the fact that, somebody comes up to me and tells me, start picking cotton, I would have to start picking cotton. Whereas they came up to you and told you to do that, you wouldn't have to do that. You could say fuck you and go on. I couldn't. I said fuck you. I'm dropping dead right there. And that's just one basic advantage, you know?
Fair. Yeah. But I don't see why I would get the hatred towards it if I'm not a part of the issue.
I mean, and to that point, you may not be part of the issue directly, but you also are part of the issue indirectly because maybe you're like because again a lot of people's take on slavery is that's not me, that's not how I feel it, yada yada yada, and that's fine, that can be very true, but at the same time it's very it's very possible that you still benefited from that fact that it happened. So even though you might not be a part of that, you still can't tell me that you didn't get some type of benefit from it. So even if you're a couple generations removed, you like the money that your ancestors probably made off of slaves. It's very possible that nowadays that helped you transition into more legal type of business ventures, but you can't tell me that pretty much that blood money that you had didn't give you that advantage you have now, no matter
So
how many
Wait,
generations
wait, wait.
you're renewed,
Hold on.
and
hold
not you
on.
specifically, but it's
Wait, hold
possible.
on, Spencer. Hold
Hold
on. I
on.
just want to say shout out to all the 15 people in here. Make sure to subscribe. We really appreciate every sub that comes through. You know what I'm saying? We're having some good conversation. Shout out to Adam, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Spencer. I think it is interesting to see different perspectives. I know like a lot of times it's easy to kind of jump on a bandwagon, kind of just say like, or kind of have already notions perceived about Spencer because of like, the things that he said or like the way he looks. But I think it's just more of an interesting, like just kind
And
of
I mean, me
just
personally,
let's
I'm happy that we can have this conversation though, like civilly, like no
No,
bullshit.
a
Like
hundred
I'm
I'm
glad,
percent.
talking to
like
the
I'm glad
comments.
this conversation can really be had. Like, cause
Yeah.
it's a conversation that needs to be had. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Eric.
So
Yeah, I'm just more talking to like the comments because it's like, they're not the friendliest comments, but it's kind of like, it's
I
more
could
of like
care
a
less what they're
perspective
saying.
talk. Like Spencer can only do what Spencer can do. Spencer can't change the 1%'s minds. He's not in the Illuminati as far as I know. So it's kind of like he only can do what he can do, and he's only experienced what he experienced. A lot of stuff that we usually tend to talk about is stuff that we haven't personally experienced. And if you are not a white person, the top 1%, like you don't understand how that feels. Just like a white person, the top 1% doesn't understand how like a lower class or middle class black person feels. So it's kind of like you can listen, you can comprehend, but I don't think that there'll ever be a means of it's like, oh, like I understand what he's saying now. Like that makes sense. Because like growing up how you did is very different than growing up how I did or how he did. That's all I wanted to say.
But then I think too that's also like has a lot to say to like the point of the system too. Because we're not gonna also sit here and act like the system isn't made for niggas to be divided. Like that's just what it comes down to. Like
No,
the
that's
system is
that's
made for
facts.
people. Like it's like it is. Like it's definitely made for people to be divided instead of united. So I would also say that, that's also a big part of it is the fact that, like, yes, you get to experience this stuff and, maybe you got to live a decent life and stuff like that. But then you also have to realize that, people at the bottom also, are going to view it a different way because they have experienced, a different way of life. And so, it's not going to be seen as, the same eye to eye type of view.
And I think that kind of Chase, I had the same experience for like my grandfather's shop in Newark, Jersey was actually burned down by the police. Actually, they kind of came and basically were like, you need to pay us this much month a month, no, much a month.
Wait, what was Chase's question?
Oh, Chase was saying, I'll read it. So shout out to Chase, man. Shout out to Chase, my dog. He said, my great grandparents had their shop burned down. That is equity that could have been passed down to the family, but it was lost because they are black. Many black folks have lost potential for generational wealth. So I was just saying, like, that's the same thing that happened to me. I think it's really interesting. People talk about like the kind of death of Black Wall Street. I actually went to a video screening. It's called the Black Hollywood. They're a production studio, and they made a movie on it. And Black Wall Street, people kind of said it just kind of like fell apart and stuff, and like people say like it got burned down. But that was actually the only time the United States government has actually deployed airstrikes on their own homeland. They actually not only had not hundreds, but thousands of KKK members storm into Oklahoma where Black Wall Street was, and they literally shot and killed everybody that they saw. The U.S. government literally came in and bombed the neighborhood that the black people had built by themselves and built their own sustainable economy. They saw that happening, and the government themselves bombed their own land. So it's kind of like, I understand like both sides. You know what I mean? It's that stuff happened. That like there's no refuting that. Like they came in with planes and dropped bombs
on their own land, so they couldn't. And so then, right, and then the thing about that too is like, so then that comes back to the fact that like you can't tell me that it's just people kind of being lazy, because like, that's another thing is people love to be like, oh, y'all are just lazy, you're not working hard enough. No, we worked hard enough, we had it, and then people literally came in and said, fuck that, let me just go ahead and destroy what you got. Like, and then we were never able to literally rebuild again, and then nobody even received reparations for that. Like even if you want to disregard reparations for slavery, just the fact that people's shit was literally burned down by people who didn't like them because of the color of their skin, and to this day, there was nothing done about it. All that was done was the government literally was like, oh, they burned down your shit? That sucks. I'm also going to send in a plane and, bomb your shit as well, just to, add to that. And so as like African American, how am I not supposed to be like, wait, no, fuck them and fuck the girl, like fuck all this? Like, how am I not supposed to be that way when I followed the rules? I played the game by your rules. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think about it. And there was also people too who were slaves, became free, and then had their own shit on Black Wall Street. So they played the game. They played their part. They were the calm black person that just followed the rules and laws. And then what did they have to show for it? Not shit.
Shout out to Oswin, man. Oswin in the chat. Shout out to Oswin, Big O. You feel me? You know the vibes.
Yeah.
He was saying it's not about Spencer. It's about the lack. It's about it's about lacking the knowledge of white privilege. That's what he's saying. What do you think about that?
What do I think about me lacking knowledge of white privilege?
Yeah, that's what one of the commenters said.
I honestly don't have a take on that. And they're gonna say whatever they want to that. I'm kind of just gonna ignore it, if we're being honest. Their comments are what they think. It's their opinion. They're allowed to have them.
I truly don't think there's anything that you could really say that would.
I mean, and that's
no. I'm white. They're not gonna understand what I'm saying. Just like how y'all wouldn't understand unless I'm gonna explain it.
Saying, but like, if I could ask a question, I was like, do you acknowledge that there is a white privilege though?
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. I don't get asked to get out of the car. Yeah, nah. When I get
that was my one question. I just went
When I got pulled over, I was not asked to get out of the car. I was not asked to put the hands on the steering wheel. None of that. And then, couple months down the road, me and my friend get pulled over. My friend's Alex. He's black. Me and him both had to get out of the car.
That's valid.
Officer
That's,
turned
I
his
mean,
body camera off. I thought my friend Alex was gonna get shot right there. I was like, holy shit, he's dead in front of me. Like, I have experienced both sides of it, not to the extent of anyone else. I have no idea what it's like to be black, obviously, because I'm white. But I do try to see and help the sides to where y'all are coming from. Like, I can sit here and say I've been to the Black Lives Matter protests and movements. I can say all these different things, but no one in the black community, I would say, is still going to look at me and be like, he's one of us. You can't say that.
well, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, but like at the same time, it's like, I mean, you again, like, and again, you can be like you can be an ally of Black Lives Matter movement, all that, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, you know, you can only be an ally to us. Like, we can only accept you like to a certain extent. And like, I'm not trying to make that sound bad, but it's just
But that's
like don't get
crazy
me
to
like
me.
don't get us wrong. Like, like people like we appreciate all that, but it's just like at the end of the day, we still are like knowledgeable of the fact that there is that that total disadvantage, and like there is stuff that we're gonna go through that you don't have to deal with, and there's just gonna be takes that we don't agree on. And that's just what it is, because the lives that we lived, isn't the life that you lived, and then so it's just certain stuff we're not gonna see eye to eye on. And that's not to say that like we don't appreciate you trying to be like what I'm saying, being an ally and things like that, but it's just more so of the fact that like you know it's not gonna be like appreciate, like we're not gonna be like, oh, thank, like we're like overjoyous about it, because at the same time it's kind of like we would expect you to be an ally to like that's just basic human decency. Like, we're expecting you to kind of like get where we're coming from. So it's like we like again, we get it, and we thank you for like being with us, but at the same time it's like don't expect us to be like overjoyous about it. You
I'm
know what I'm
not
saying?
asking
I
That's
mean,
all.
anybody to
I
be
don't.
Right.
overjoiced
I'm
about
not
it,
saying you
though.
specifically, but I'm
Yeah.
saying in general.
I
That's
don't
all.
think in general we are, but I think, I don't want to say we, because like not every white person obviously
Right.
likes black people. They're
Right. Yeah.
racist,
That's valid.
unfortunately. But like for me, it's to the point where people are like, your grandparents owned slaves, blah blah blah, and I'm like, nah, no, actually, my two grandparents actually moved over in the '60s from Russia. Both sides of my family, from
Right.
my mom and my dad's side, Russian. I'm 100% Russian.
That's
My
valid.
my ancestors didn't own slaves. My ancestors lived on a fucking tundra farm in Russia until they fucking moved over here.
Right. But then can you also say that in some ways they didn't benefit from the fact that, they did look like, most of the white people that were in America?
I would say no, because they grew up down in Florida. They actually ended up buying a small piece of land. It was, I think, 5 acres, and they started their own farm up that way. And my grandfather got his real estate license, taught my dad how to do real estate, and that's kind of how the wealth grew. My mom, like I said, grew up poor in Florence, South Carolina, met my dad. Yeah, she benefited from that, honestly, because at that point my grandfather had already made enough wealth from real estate to be able to support my dad and my mom, and we're very lucky and fortunate that that did happen, that he got so lucky, and that he also got lucky in the stock market. Like, he was able to get enough money and wealth to start the stock market. Now, because he was white, did he probably have an easier time in America getting his wealth? Sure. Of course you can say that. But ancestors didn't own slaves. Like, that's the whole thing that I hate about it, is everyone wants to be like, your ancestors owned slaves, this and that, and it's like, no,
Right.
actually.
And that's valid, but then too is like, so then like I would expect that you can see like, our perspective too, because it's like
I
your
110%
ancestors.
can.
Right, because it's like, okay, your ancestors didn't own slave, but then it's like you see what it's kind of feel like to be grouped together,
Yes.
because it's like your ancestors didn't own slaves, but it's like, you're white, you have wealth, so your ancestors probably own slaves. And then, but it's the same thing in the verse when it's like we're grouped together. Oh, your family is a group of felons, you're a felon. Or you know what I'm saying? Or like you're this skin complexion, you're probably doing something wrong. So like so I'm assuming that you can just kind of see
110%.
the reverse. So I mean, just to that point, I would just kind of say like, I'm not gonna say like, just accept it, but I would say, if anything, at least try to cut, some slack, just in the terms of like, you kind of got to understand like just how it's a generational thing, it's a generational thing with us, and it is going to take time for us to kind of, not group all y'all together.
No,
And not
yeah.
all y'all meaning, but like,
Not
you
to
know what
cut
I'm
you
saying?
No,
off,
I know
Like,
exactly.
gonna
Yeah,
take,
no,
it's
I
gonna
know what
take
you
some
mean.
time,
I
you
know
know
what
what
you
I'm
mean.
saying?
not to
Yeah.
cut you off, Adam. I just want to put
Go
out
ahead.
there for the public
Go ahead.
that I've known Spencer for going on 3 years now, and I, to my knowledge, from everything that I've experienced with him, I would say he is probably one of like the least like racist or prejudiced people that like I'm friends with that are white. And it's like I have a lot of friends like that. I have like a lot of white friends, and you can easily tell like which ones are okay with being racist or like they'll be more racist in public. But I truly believe Spencer. So anybody in the comments, if that's my word and it means anything to you, I will vouch for Spencer because of the experience that I've known. Everybody like that's seen this kind of podcast setting, I think it's kind of easy to kind of judge somebody off of like 2 hours of hearing them talk. But like I've known him for like almost 3 years, so it's kind of like a little different. You know what I mean? So it's like I think that it's definitely important to have this conversation and kind of understand different perspectives. But I don't think it's productive to kind of like jump to conclusions about him or jump to conclusions about like people like him because like he just kind of explained like every situation is different, like coming from Russia, like it's different, you know what I mean? Like there is a difference between like him and like Jim Crow, or like him and like somebody with like last name like Freeman that might have had a plantation in Alabama. Like there's a difference in that, and the way that you're brought up is different, the way that you experience life is different. So I think it's really like if we really want to be productive, which I think that's more important than having, just pointless conversation, we should really just be trying to listen to both sides of the perspective and kind of try to form a conclusion for positivity and the future. I think that really is more important than anything.
Right. I mean, I would agree to that too. Just in terms of like moving forward and being progressive. But I think too, there's a lot to be said for, um, I would say, kind of cutting people some slack and kind of just in the way on how they view things. Because like, yes, you're kind of like, wait, like if you want me to view you in a certain right, I would think you would view me that way. But at the same time, it's kind of like when a certain behavior has been distributed over and over and over again, it's kind of hard for somebody to be, to be like, so unforgiving in terms of, like what you're doing or like what you're into or like even with like your group or the people you look like are into. So my thing with that is just like you want to move forward, but at the same time you kind of got to see where kind of other people are coming from. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely think there's a lot to be said for having a conversation like this, just because, like, even coming from California, like, I grew up around, like a lot of, like, I have a lot of white friends. And even when I went to elementary school and middle school, like, there wasn't that many, what I'm saying, kids that were black and stuff like that. So I did have friends that were white, Hispanic, things like that. But you also kind of have to, so of course, like, maybe I'm not gonna say I have a different view, but I would definitely say I have a, a grasp of both sides of it. But at the end of the day, there is something to be said for kind of, realizing that there's only, so much that we can like kind of meet, people at, or an area we can meet people at. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important at the end of the day. Like, but yeah, I mean, no matter what we say, we're not gonna make anything change unless we really get down to like the actual problem. Not even like I think people focus too much about the roots of the tree. The tree, like the tree is the problem. People focus too much about the roots than trimming the tree and making it nice and making it presentable, making it grow luscious, tasty fruits. People are focused on how deep are the roots. Oh, that root is here because this guy took my land and planted the tree. Well, let's not worry about that. We have the tree. The tree is here. America is here. What are we going to do with America is really the most important part.
Right. I mean, and that's valid too. Like, what I'm saying? Like, you got to look to the future. But then at the same time, too, it's like, you know, if that was, if that was my tree and I put down that roots, but this person came along and kicked me out and claimed my tree for him, I'm gonna feel some type of way about it though at the end of the day. Because yes, we're past that now, but at the same time, this person is still eating off the tree that I planted. So it's like, well, what the fuck? Like you want to move past it and be like,
I think his computer froze again.
Oh man, bros, can you hear us, Adam?
my family's,
Here we
just
go.
been fucked for 5 generations, you know what I'm saying? Type shit like that. Like here I am 5 generations later, you know what I'm saying? You're still eating off the fruits of my labor, and my family's still struggling, trying to make it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? And we're like for these past 5 generations, we've been trying to plant our own tree, you know what I'm saying, trying to work hard for it, but we can't. And it's kind of like you can be like, well, just go plant another tree. But damn, why would I want to go plant in a tree when I just planted one? Like I got my roots. You took
Yeah.
my roots. You know what I'm saying? And you're making it seem like, and you don't know what it took for me to kind of plant those roots in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So you can say work hard, you know what I'm saying, and like get out the mud and keep working, and you can make it. But why would I want to keep doing that when I had that and you took it from me? You know what I'm saying? Like why am I not gonna feel some
Yeah.
type of way about that? Why am I still gonna hold, like I'm gonna still hold resentment?
Honestly, as you should though. Like I wouldn't hold that against you by any
Right.
means.
Because but yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you hold that, against somebody? But definitely, good conversation to be had.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
Any other questions?
it's really interesting. Um, yeah, I guess shout out to everybody that's in here once again. Really appreciate y'all for the comments. Make sure to like the video.
Let
Just
the
take a
boy
second right now. Press
Prismo.
the like button.
Go
Go
get
press the subscribe button.
Yeah, no,
get
and
Prismo in
definitely no
here,
matter how
bro.
you felt about it, I definitely say just, give it a like so we can keep it up. Like shit.
Yeah, man. Having these conversations, having tough conversations, controversial conversations, different perspectives. That's what we're all about here. You can expect it 3 times a week: Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. Make sure to tune in to us, where we're just gonna keep it going. Um,
That. We got any more questions?
uh, how's the chat looking? How's the chat looking right now? What's going on in the chat?
I don't have the chat on at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's more about like the last conversation. But yeah, if you want to segue to the next conversation, Spencer, we could probably, talk about something else.
Shoot.
Maybe like end it off on like a little lighter note.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll get it off on a great note here. Oh, let's get this one. Adam, what is the one joke that someone can tell every single time and you will still laugh just as hard?
The one joke somebody can tell and I'm gonna laugh just as hard. Um, I don't know. I feel like there's not like really like one specific joke, but it would definitely be something like about like my immediate friend group. So like my immediate friend group, like they're my brothers and my cousins. Say we DMS, but what's it called? But like anybody in that group, like they could bring up like any type of memory we had. Like it doesn't matter, from, like how long ago. Like it's just gonna be hilariously funny. Like it could have happened like yesterday, last week, 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Because like those are the friends I've had since forever. And like somebody could just post like a message from 5 years ago that like came up on a Snapchat memories or something, and like it's gonna like it just would instantly get a reaction at everybody, and like we're gonna laugh and like talk about it again and joke on it, like no matter what. And it usually has to do with like a funny picture of somebody, like what I'm saying, like we sent a picture to the group chat where we like looking funny, making a face, doing a filter or something,
Yeah.
and we'll bring it back up and just joke about it. So
E-
anything like revolving like DMS and like my close friend group will always get a joke out of me.
EJ definitely has one of those videos that'll pop up every year.
Right, right, right. And it's one of them gems where it's like you kind of forget about it, and that's what makes it so funny. It's like you
Yeah.
forget about it, and then when it comes up around that year again, you're like, damn, that did happen. I forgot that even happened. Like, wow, let's joke about it again. So that's kind of like what makes it and breaks it. But also too, like just linking up with like my friend group and all that. Just the fact that like I know like we could all pull up to the same place and like we could all be sitting in the same car or something. and
Yeah.
somebody like will make a face or make a comment or something, and everybody there would just be like dying laughing just because that's how well we get along. So like it really doesn't take much for us to joke and laugh. So yeah, I would definitely say like that's the one thing that could always get me is one of them making a joke.
A good memory that
Yeah,
pops
I
up.
know, always get me.
I know EJ's memory is when the first night, was it the first night at Newberry, EJ, or was it the second night that
It
all
was
this
the
went
second
down?
night.
The
It was the
second
second
night, man.
night. Yeah.
And EJ, Cannon, and who else was there? Trey was there. Did Austin go with y'all?
Yeah, shout out Austin, shout out Georgia, shout out Cannon, man. Cannon's from San Diego, Adam. He's down
Oh,
there.
yeah, yeah. I'm saying my more southern, more southern people. Like they
Yeah.
right on the border of Mexico. Like you throw a rock, and,
Yeah, he lives like 20 minutes from the border too.
oh, see, yeah, you right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because you used to just be going into Mexico just willy nilly and be able to get back. Now it's not cutting it, not
Yeah.
cutting it. You drive over, you better pray you got your passport to get back.
Are you taking that vaccine, Adam?
Am I taking it? No, will not be taking that. You could call me dumb. I really don't care, but I will be holding off on that vaccine till like me personally. Like I'm a homebody anyway, so I ain't got no issue being in the house personally. Like as long as I got my, what I'm saying, like I'm able to get my needs in the house and all that. I don't need to ever leave the house, so I'm not about to take it. I'm honestly, I'm perfectly okay with letting everybody else be guinea pigs. Like, that's why everybody that's gotten it so far. That's why I always ask them, like, oh, you got your first shot? How you feel after it? Cool. You be okay. Okay, cool. Oh, you got your second shot? How you feel after that? Cool. Okay. Like, I really be taking notes on how people be feeling and all that. And unless it was like, I gotta take the vaccine to go back on campus, maybe, I might not even take it then. But if it was like, you gotta take the vaccine to go on campus, I might. But yeah, I'm about to give this, another month, another couple months, and see how it play out. But yeah, I will not be taking that. Moderna or the P5s or any of that. What about
The
y'all? Y'all
Johnson and
took it already?
Johnson.
Y'all gonna take it?
So my parents are supposed to be going taking it on Thursday. I have decided to not take it just because of what some of my friends and family have gone through with taking the shots. Because some of them feel like absolute dog shit after the second shot or the first shot, and then some of them they had no symptoms whatsoever. So I'm a little iffy on it.
Okay.
Now, if I have to get the vaccine to travel, to get back on campus, yeah, I'm probably gonna take it then, because I don't like online classes. That shit's ass.
Yeah, no. Like I don't know. I really just don't trust. Like I don't trust it. At the end of the day, like I don't buy it. Like they could come out, a couple months from now, years from now, and be like, we've done studies and nothing was really wrong with this vaccine and yada yada yada, and that's okay. Great for them. But you just won't be playing with with me and my body with it. I'm okay with being in the house. I made it this far, and God willing, I'm gonna still make it a little bit longer. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, I think that it really just depends on the necessity for me. Like, if I had the complete option just to kind of, like say like stuff was open up tomorrow and like it was just optional and like, people weren't gonna stress it for like airports or like school or like traveling, then I wouldn't take it. But if it's like a necessity, like you can't board a plane without a vaccine, which I don't think is gonna happen. I think that that'd be
I
kind of
think it could.
ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
It could happen, but it would be kind of ridiculous at the same time. Like that's like how like stuff's getting kind of too far. Because I mean, well, it's kind of too far, but at the same time, like you have to take shots to go to school anyway. You can't just
Yeah.
walk up into a public school without chicken pox and like regular basic shots. So I mean, it's not like the craziest idea,
I
but
mean, it's not the
yeah,
craziest idea, but then at the same time too, it's like you kind of gotta look at like, damn, like how long before like the chickenpox, vaccine, was implemented before people like really started trusting it. Because I don't know, I just kind of have a hard time believing that everybody's taking vaccines at face value. You know what I'm saying? No matter at what point through history.
yeah, trusting the government is definitely something that has really never been a common thing, but I just think that I don't know. It's something that we already have to do. So I won't make a big deal out of it, but Yeah, I'll take it if I have to, but if I don't have to, I won't take it.
Type shit. That's valid.
Yeah.
Next question.
They talked about vaccines.
Sheesh. What about this cancer culture? Not cancer culture.
Cancel,
Cancel
not
culture?
cancer.
Cancel
Cancer's not a
culture.
culture.
I mean, I don't know. You could be like cancel culture is like a cancer sometimes, but yeah, I mean, in terms of cancel culture, like, I mean, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's it misses. Like, sometimes the right people get canceled, sometimes they don't. I feel like, I don't know. Me personally, like, I like to joke a lot, so it's like, I don't know. And I can joke like about it, like a lot of shit, but then at the same time, it's probably because like I know like at the end of the day, if it was like serious, like I would take a serious stance. So maybe that's why like I don't trip a lot of times off of like when people say shit and then they get canceled, and I'm kind of like, I mean, that wasn't the craziest thing. But it's just like, but then again, like I play a lot, so that's why I'm probably like that way because I joke a whole lot. But at the same time, there do be people that be saying like some really out of pocket shit. You know what I'm saying? I be doing some really wild shit. Like for example, like me personally, like that whole shit that happened like with Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, like that nigga should have got canceled. Cause like no matter what happened, like I just don't feel like he was within any right to shoot her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether it was accidental on purpose, like there's just nothing you can tell me to where like it checks out. You know what I'm saying? Like that don't make no sense to me. Like even though like don't get me wrong, he's little, and you know what I'm saying, she's a tall woman, but at the end of the day, you're still a man, bro. Like so
So
you
we should
shooting her just doesn't like you shooting her doesn't do like that was stupid to me. And like you don't, you know what I'm saying? You should be canceled for that because you shot her. What the fuck did you shoot her for, bro? Like to this day, can you like yeah, I don't know. Like, and again, you could be like, oh, we don't have all the facts, yada yada yada, but it's like
They
I
have all the
mean,
facts. That's
at the
bullshit.
end of
They have all
like
the
you
facts.
okay, you didn't have all the facts, but it was like, damn, like because I know me personally, like if I didn't do something, I'm finna advocate that I didn't do it, say I didn't do it, all that type of stuff. Like I'm finna, prove I didn't do it. And you could be like, oh, they're celebrities, so they can't do that, yada yada yada. But I don't buy that shit. Like at the end of the day, if you really didn't do it, bro, then give me something to show me you didn't do it. Cause like if you really didn't shoot her, then it's like, say that shit. Like you didn't do nothing though. You didn't say you didn't shoot her. You just went into hiding and then dropped the album. Like
Yeah.
like what the fuck? Like it don't make no sense to me. Like what was the purpose?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that it's like for
cancel
like
culture
instances like
came from
that, it's like it makes sense. But it's like I think that the cancel culture is just like people actively looking for something to cancel somebody on. Like if you're scrolling down someone's Twitter to like 2014, I feel like that is what cancel culture is. Like you're doing that not even because you think it's right most of the time. You're doing it just for the clout. Like getting blown up on Twitter is not the easiest thing to get to do. But if you start like a canceling movement for something like YoungBoy did when he was like 16, like that's an easy way to get clout. You know what I mean? Like people really want variety on social media at the end of the day. Like you're not a journalist. You're not out here looking for answers to write a report and investigate. It's like Kanye. Like people take
right.
Kanye for they take a snippet of what he says and then make an assumption about him.
Good
Oh,
morning,
let's say like he's
Kanye.
crazy or this or that. But it's like people are looking for it. They're not just like finding it. People are like actively looking. I think like that's like the worst part to me.
That's valid. I mean, because again and again, like you can be like, oh, people are just canceling people just to cancel people. But then too, it's like yes, people change, but at the same time, it's also too like you kind of got to stand by what you said, you know. Like yes, you can change, but at the same time, like don't expect me to really have like super sympathy for you if you was on the internet, you know what I'm saying some hot shit, and then people find out, and now all of a sudden you like, oh, I can't, or I didn't mean that, yada yada yada. Like no, you just don't mean it because you got caught. But if we ain't never catch you, you probably would have been, saying the same hot shit.
What did Lindsay say? She says cancel culture doesn't exist because Tory Lane still sells records, still has fans, and hasn't went to jail.
I
Yo, he
mean,
did
well, I
shoot
mean that
Meg in
was
the
I
foot.
mean,
He shot the fuck out of Meg.
I
I
mean, I
forgot
mean,
about that. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. But like my thing is like, I mean, you could say cancel culture exists because he didn't get arrested and all that, but and that's fine. Like that's a valid argument. I would say that cancel culture though, for the most part, affects, you know what I'm saying, like who people really want it to affect. Because somebody could also say like some hot shit or some shit like there's some really crazy shit and they not get canceled because people love them so much that they just look by it and be like, oh, they didn't mean that, yada yada yada. But then a different person could turn around and say the same shit and not get canceled. So I wouldn't say that it don't completely, not exist, but I would also say that the fact that like, he didn't get fully canceled and stuff like that, like that's really a thing because again, if you're popular enough, then it's, there's a chance that no matter what you do, people still gonna fuck with you.
Yeah, people overlook a lot of stuff. I think
Right.
it's really just like a result of Twitter as its whole. Like, I really got off of Twitter. I was never really a big Twitter person. So I got on Twitter like when I went to school. And then basically, like, I just noticed like everything on there was people just really doing like deep trolling dives. Like, before like cancel became like a big word, people were just trolling essentially, just finding anything that you said. It's kind of just like a log of all of your outward thoughts. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
you don't remember most of your tweets. Like, no one remembers everything they tweet. Like, I've scrolled
Right.
down my own Twitter and been like, I don't
I
remember
tweeted
tweeting
that.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
it's like,
I
huh?
tweeted that. Yeah.
So it's like literally just like a passing thought. You think it's something cool, so you just put it out there, and it's like, okay. So then now like people are looking to use that stuff like against you to harm like your image or harm like your money. And I think like that's like the part of cancel culture that's like the worst. But I don't know. Yeah, especially like David Dobrik, like they're trying to say right now, in the comments. Morgan Lewis, shout out to Morgan. Shout out to Sarah Parker. Sarah Parker is active in the chat. I'm sure you guys are subscribed. Okay, we love you
Subscribe,
guys.
Sarah. Subscribe.
Make sure to subscribe.
But yeah, no, I mean, I get it though. It's really like I said, it just depends on the person. At the end of the day, I think that's what it comes down to. It's very possible. I mean, because people, cancel R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, but we still like people still fuck with Chris Brown. So
Yeah.
like with Chris Brown, like really with Chris Brown, all it took was time. Like people
Well,
wasn't fucking with him at first, and then a couple years later, did a BAT performance, and everybody like low key forgave him after that. But
yeah.
yeah, it just really depends on the person.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a pretty crazy world out here. But yeah. I mean, we've been on here. We just hit the 3 hour mark.
Yeah, 3 hours or two?
Three.
Three? What the?
Yeah.
Just about, yeah, just about 3.
Yeah, we're at like 250 right now. 2 hours
Yeah.
50 minutes. Yeah. I mean, we really appreciate it.
Like, any more questions before we wrap it up? Or?
Well, do you have anything else you want to say to the people? You know what I mean?
You got to give a closing statement.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's valid. No, I mean, nothing really said to people. I mean, I appreciate y'all, all y'all tuning in and, voicing your opinions and, being here for the conversation. I think at the end of the day, like, a lot of stuff can be like misinterpreted, misconstrued, miscommunicated. And so I feel like, if you don't have the hard conversations and you don't have them, you know, as they should be had, then a lot of shit gets swept under the rug. And, that's just what it is. Because, I mean, just like, even for example, I've had, like a couple friends recently who, like, were advocating for Trump, for example. And, like, we had to have the hard conversations about, why they felt that way and shit like that. So I feel like, even if that's not your viewpoint, you still got to have the conversation and, kind of have the ability to see, what the person is saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you don't believe it, that's perfectly fine. But just kind of have, the open-mindedness to see what they're saying and then be like, no, they're wrong. Instead of just being, no, they're wrong from the jump. Just, listen to what they're saying. If you still feel like they're wrong, then cool. But yeah, but besides that, though, I appreciate y'all for having me for real. I enjoyed it on here. Hopefully, I can come back and we could do this again sometime.
Honestly, we definitely got to get you back on, Adam. You were probably one of the best guests we've had for sure.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Next to Aaron, because I know Aaron's in here, and Aaron was a good guest too.
Yeah, no,
Aaron was dope.
Right, I didn't get to see Aaron's interview yet. I'm gonna check it out.
Aaron's interview was funny, bro. Aaron was dope.
Yeah, no, Aaron, yeah, he's a good guy. But yeah, any more questions before we close it out?
I think we're
Not really. I
good.
think that's
Yeah.
it.
I really appreciate it again, Adam. Thank you
For
for
sure.
such. Shout out to Adam, man.
Always. We'll get you
Thanks.
back
Shout out
on
to
here
that food
soon,
truck
Adam.
coming up soon. Follow Adam on TikTok for them fresh chefing
Right,
videos.
I'm gonna keep y'all posted with these
He's gonna get the
TikTok videos.
food
I'm gonna let y'all
truck.
know. Yes, sir. But yeah, no, appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. But thanks for having me again, and y'all have a good night.
You
Peace
too,
out,
bro.
Adam.
All right, bro. Appreciate y'all.
Catch you later.
Spencer, someone wants us to answer questions for 10 minutes after he leaves.
How many
Are you
comments have we
down?
put in? Or
Huh?
I gotta open up the comments again. I don't even have the comments open.
We've been getting a fuck ton of comments. Sarah Parker
We have.
says, y'all, yeah, it's been flooded
Holy
with comments.
shit.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to read them all. I probably wouldn't if
Do
I
I
were you.
want to read them all?
You don't want to read them all. As someone who's been reading them, you don't want to read them. But
Are there any funny ones? Like ones that I'll get a good laugh out of?
I mean, the one guy was just roasting you, the all sports all day guy. So if you want to
How
get
was
roasted,
how was he roasting me?
yeah, I mean you can read those later. But Sarah
Spencer is the
Parker.
white guy you meet who immediately tells you about how he had like 2.5 black friends. No?
Earlier, someone was
No?
like, so his family never owned slaves, and he's been friends with a light skin for 3 years, so he's good. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
okay, sure. If you want to think that those are the only black friends or EJ's the only black guy I've ever talked to, yeah, sure. Go do you gotta do your research on me before you come after me. Oh, dude, I should have been reading these. These are great. Spencer, you listen to Led Zeppelin? No. And then, or a Green Day type of guy. No, I don't listen to either. So I listen to Lil Baby, Lil Uzi. Drake has been on the timeline a lot for me in Apple Music. That's only because of his song with Lil Baby, though. Who else? Future. I fucking love old school Future, dude.
Yeah.
Back in like 2014, 2013 Future, that shit was gas.
But yeah, if you have a question that you want us to answer, we can stay in the chat for a little longer. Just drop your questions right now, and we can definitely talk about those for you. Talk about those with you. You know, I know there's like a little lag, but you know, we'll try to stay concurrent with what you guys are talking about. Yeah.
Spencer smells like National Geographic. That's a TV show. What the hell does a TV show smell like? How does a TV show smell like?
I wasn't sure about that one either.
This dude's low-key Dut Reacts.
Huh?
This man is Dut Reacts. You know who's that streamer? Flight Reacts. That's who this all day all sports guy's reminded me of. He's reminded me of Flight Reacts.
Spencer's a cool dude. Okay. That's cool.
Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate that. Dude, these comments go on forever. Yo, Aaron was in here?
Yeah, he was.
Chat saying you got lucky, Spence. I mean, sure, they're behind a phone or computer screen. I don't know if I was ever in any real danger.
Give me a minute. Someone asked earlier, what kind of hat are you wearing?
Breitling hat. It's a watch company. They're pretty nice. I just have the hat. I don't have a watch. Unfortunately, we're still saving up for one of those. He said, nah, don't say that's facts after he said some with the N-word in it. You don't get to choose what I say.
Oh. Dang.
Yo, Spencer, I dare you to deny white privilege. I'm not going to. It's a thing. The first smart thing you said all night. Oh, cool. I said something he liked. I have his permission, EJ. I love it.
To what?
I have no idea.
Okay, so Sarah Parker says, okay, so with 3 O's, Spencer, what do you think goes into white privilege?
I have no idea, if you want to be completely honest. I don't know what makes up white privilege. I think that black people know what go into white privilege more than white people do because black people experience the hate that white people don't get.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to understand things. Like I said before, it'd be like when Flight reacts.
All me flight reacts to my face, and I swear to God, I'll get arrested that day.
Do you think that classism and racism go hand in hand? I would say no, personally. I don't know what Spencer's gonna say.
Does she
I
mean
would say
like the
no.
classes of like? What does she mean by classism?
Um, yeah. What do you mean by classism? I don't want to speak for you.
He said, like the print of all 5 fingers on my right hand will never leave your pale face. Well, at least I know you're right-handed, so I know you can't do shit with your left. I'll just
Oh,
dodge the right.
that's a good
He's
plan.
giving me his game plan, EJ. Look at this shit. This man's dumb.
Yo, what?
I fuck with him though. Honestly, dude, even like I don't even see these comments as hate comments. I really turned it down just because like the ones that were getting into race too much kind of bothered me, so I put those away because I didn't want to focus on it. But some of these are, oh, he said Spency Wincy. I like that. I have people call me Spency Wincy still a lot. Chase Tomlin said my grandparents had their shop burned. Oh, you read that one. I remember that one. I thought that was a different one that they put.
Yeah.
The same white boys with
Shout out
these
to a
viewpoints will
man. Shout out to
immediately be
Kenny
on
man.
some.
Shout out to Moja. Showed me Moja
Bro,
for
what's
one
going
time.
on? Who are you shouting
How
out?
often are we doing a podcast? We podcast every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Make sure to
Facts.
subscribe. We're dropping a highlight video of today's stream. If you missed something, you can check it out. It should be up tomorrow.
It
And
will
you'll be
be
able
up
to see the
tomorrow.
highlights of the stream. We had a lot of good conversation, so it might be kind of long. If you want to go check out our previous 4 streams, then you can watch their highlight videos. They're already up on our channel. For all the gamers out there, special announcement for the people in here right now. This week, we're starting a clip contest in Call of Duty. Change your clan name to EMU, EMU, and then submit us your top clips. Make sure to join our Discord. Make sure to subscribe. And make sure I'm going to be recording with my left. That's hilarious. That's funny.
And I'ma send it to you, girl. Joke's on you, I'm into guys. Oh,
right.
fuck.
But yeah, so make sure if you're playing COD right now, Cold War, change your clan tag to EMU. Send us your best clips. We'll post more about that tomorrow. So make sure to stay updated with all of our socials. We're on
Are we
every
releasing that
social.
tomorrow?
Just type in the EMU Club, and you'll see our social medias: our Reddit, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, freaking 4chan. We got it all. So just stay engaged with us, and um, we'll definitely catch you guys later.
Hold on. She said classism as in class discrimination, upper class, middle class, etc.
Is classism hand in hand with racism?
No.
I don't think so.
He said, nah,
No,
I'd subscribe if Spencer wasn't on it. I mean, that's chill. We don't need your subscription. You don't have to subscribe. You're chill, dude. Nobody's forcing you to. Literally, no. Bro, what is his deal? You're behind. Hold on. No. He's behind his screen watching me. That's crazy. That's crazy. I appreciate the support all day, sports. Thanks for the watch time. Thank you for the watch time. You've been in here for a minute too. I really do appreciate you now. Holy shit. You've been in here since almost the beginning.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that's been here since the
Shout
beginning.
out to Sade Hall. Shout out to All Sports All Day 16. Shout out to Chase Tomlin.
Shout out Chase.
Shout out to Aaron, obviously. Gavin Brown. Sarah Parker.
That's up since day one. Don't worry. Thank you, Morgan Lewis. I really appreciate it.
Oswin Wabu D. I don't know what that says.
Oswin Wabu Day.
Wabu Day. Love wins, bro. That's your business. I don't even know what I said to him at this point.
You said that you're into men.
Oh, he probably took me literally. That would mean he would be sending a picture to a guy or a video to a guy of him slapping me.
Huh. I've been subbed. Thank you, Kenneth.
Kenneth has been subbed. Kenneth's been in here a couple times for the podcast.
That's facts. Shout out to Kenny, man.
Kenny's been a day one.
Dog. Kenny. Yeah, man. But I mean, I'm good to wrap it up, Spencer.
Yeah, it's
if you're
almost 1 in the
good.
morning. I got school at 8. So I think we'll end it on that note right there. Thank you everybody for coming out. Ending the stream with 9 viewers feels pretty good. We
Catch us
appreciate.
on Tuesday. We have a special guest. Very
Are
special guest.
we not saying the special guest name?
It's a surprise. They gotta tune in on
They
Tuesday.
gotta come on Tuesday to figure
They
it
gotta
out.
tune in on Tuesday.
All right, well, come on Tuesday to figure it out. Unless you're all day all sports, then you're not subscribed, so you won't know when we go live. But
All right, guys.
appreciate everybody. It's been a fun stream. Learned a lot. Appreciate everybody.